The rogue room appreciates your recommendation.
My friends, listen. I have an announcement to make before we get into today's mental health discussion. A victory has been made this day. A victory against the corporate system that dictates the gender norms our children are indoctrinated into at a very young age. My friends, the Mr. Potato Head line of toys has gone gender neutral. Can we get some fucking W's in the chat? Thank you for the hydration and the posture check there. Fox, can we get some fat W's in the chat? Yes, indeed. As of today, and believe me, we are gonna get into the response to this debacle. Believe me. Because it's been a fun one. As you might expect, anytime anything gender or sexuality related flows into the mainstream, as with the case with Hasbro, there's been some response. Going to be leading up to something extremely groundbreaking. Yes, indeed. Let's talk about this really quickly. I want to get this out of the way, and then we are going to talk about... we're going to talk about some mental health stuff. Mr. Potato Head goes gender neutral as Hasbro drops Mr. from brand name. Mr. Potato Head is no longer a Mr. Hasbro, the company that's made the potato-shaped plastic toy for nearly 70 years... Here's a fun fact for you. It used to be a bunch of little pieces you would stick in actual potatoes. Little eyes, mouths, hair, whatever. Is giving the Spud a gender-neutral new name. Potato Head. This change will appear on boxes this year. Many toy makers have been updating their classic brands in recent years, hoping to relate to today's kids and reflect more modern families. It's a potato, said Ali Mirjewski. You know what? Said Ali. I'm not going to continue to butcher your name. I'm sorry. It's a potato, said Ali, editor-in-chief at toy review site The Toy Insider. Mixed Potato Head. But kids like to see themselves in the toys they are playing with. Barbie, for example, has tried to shed the blonde image and now comes in multiple skin tones and body shapes. Thomas the Tank Engine toy line added more female characters, while American Girl is now selling a boy doll. As part of the rebranding, Hasbro will release a new Potato Head playset that will let kids create their own types of families, including 2 mums or 2 dads. The Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head characters will live on in some form, Hasbro said. Okay, let's get this part out of the way. I actually had this tweet lined up. Hold that tot, your main spud, Mr. Potato Head, isn't going anywhere. While it was announced today that the Potato Head brand name and logo are dropping the Mr., they had to get a pun in there. I am proud to fuck off. To confirm that Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere and will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. So, we'll get into the response. Just like, right now, I want you, like, completely... here's a free moment to be a dipshit. I want you to, in quotations, put something in chat that you think people have been saying in response to this. Just put anything you can speculate off the top of your head, what you might think people have been saying about this particular set of circumstances, and go. In quotes. Put it in quotes. So we know yeah. Both have appeared in the Toy Story movies. Mattel's Creatable World dolls, released in 2019, are the first line of gender-neutral dolls produced by the company famous for Barbie. Actually, I love this. This is a fucking cool idea. Gender-neutral dolls. That's awesome. The company describes the range of dolls as designed to keep labels out and invite everyone in. That's fucking good shit, man. For which Mattel consulted physicians, hundreds of families, as well as experts in gender identity in researching the project. These are good. These are good. Dropping the Mr. from Potato Head's name could encourage other companies to stop assigning genders to its toys, a trend that has already been happening. It's setting this new standard, she said. GLAAD, an LGBTQ advocacy group, applauded the genderless toy potato. Hasbro is helping kids to simply see toys as toys, which encourages them to be their authentic selves outside of the pressures of traditional gender norms. That's a fucking W, said Rich Ferraro, GLAAD's chief communications officer, in a statement. Mr. Potato Head first hit the toy scene in 1952 when it didn't even come with a plastic potato. Kids had to supply their own vegetable to poke eyes, a nose, or a mustache into. Hasbro, which also makes Monopoly and My Little Pony, bought the brand and eventually added a plastic spud. There we have it. The biggest news of the day, even factoring in the cabinet minister accused of rape in letter sent to Scott Morrison, senators, I don't know what the rest of that headline is. Putting aside political related rape for a minute, this is the top story of today. This is the one big story, the thing that everyone is freaking the fuck out about. Everyone's losing their minds over Potato Head. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Potato Head, or Mrs. Potato Head, or Ms. Potato Head, or Mix Potato Head. Does it fucking matter? The thing that irritates me to no end is like, it's a toy for children. And the thing is, there was I'm certain, there was, here's one argument. Gotta love that Hasbro played a blinder in the how to get people talking about our product stakes, changing the overarching branding from Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head, has the TRAs excitedly screaming, even though there is still going to be a Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. What the fuck is your actual point, mate? What the fuck actual point is this person trying to make here? As the TRA's excitedly screaming, yeah, because expression and representation and breaking down, especially among children, breaking down gender norms is a good thing. Like, quite frankly, there was a story I was reading about, I think it was on another website, tangentially related to this. Actually, no, it was an interview with someone who hosts like a UK singing show or like talent show, whatever it is, mentioning how her son, who does identify as her son, who is a assigned male at birth child, I'll come back to chat in a moment, I promise. I just want to get this off the top of my head before I forget. She mentioned that her child has been dressing in very gender non-conforming fashion, long straightened blonde hair, wearing like a pink crop top and all that kind of thing. And the interview that with this woman, the mother of this child, goes into, the idea of, how bad it is that toys are gendered. And some of the comments on that particular article, that particular interview, were stuff like, oh, my son came home from school one day and said he wanted to play with the dollhouse or wanted to play with the toy kitchen or whatever, but couldn't because it was a girl's toy. And they said, where did they get that attitude from, considering it's not something I told my kids? That's not something I tell my children. I tell my kids, play with whatever the fuck you want. If my son wants a toy unicorn, he's gonna get a fucking toy unicorn. If he wants to wear a tutu, he can wear a tutu. Like, the idea of explicitly tying, both of my kids have, for example, a tool set of toys. They've got their own one. And it's like, it's so obscenely ridiculous that people get fired up over children's toys. Just let the kids fucking play, dude. What's the issue here? And this is inevitably going to be the response to the Potato Head scandal. The scandal around Potato Head. Oh my goodness. What the... Is this sarcasm? It's what she would have wanted and is both stunning and brave. I'm not ashamed to admit that I shed a tear. I walked out into the street. We all held hands and sang. Is this supposed to be a joke? Is this one of the rights? Is this one of the jokes? Is this one of the jokes that the right has? Walked out. What? Sorry, bloke. What? Okay. Slugs have been non-binary for 150 million years, way ahead of you, Potato Head. Isn't the fact they did it the issue is they fucking chose potatoes. Yeah, but they had Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head and the brand was Mr. Potato Head. And realistically speaking, it's honestly a non-issue. Like, they've chosen to frame it in such a way... Hang on. They've chosen to frame it in such a way that we're being more gender non-conforming. You can just, assign whatever bits and pieces to whatever potato head you want. Who gives a fuck, right? That's the attitude they're going with here. But realistically speaking, internally, they were probably like, we don't really need the Mr. on Potato Head, do we? We don't need the Mr. on Potato Head, do we? There you go, Fox. If I've missed any redeems, we'll come back around to it. Sorry, I just want to get this story out there. Quite frankly, it comes back to the Facebook thing. Did you see The Social Network? Did you watch The Social Network, where Justin Timberlake's character... he says, drop the from the Facebook. Just call it Facebook. And it just feels like this is the same kind of thing that Hasbro has done here. It's like, well, The Mr. is just clunky. Let's just take the Mr. out and just call it Potato Head. Because there's a Mr. and there's a Mrs. And realistically speaking, people can gender non-conform the fuck out of this toy. Who cares? Just get rid of the Mr. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Just toss it. And what marketing has decided to do is like, let's frame this in such a way where people can freely express whatever gender identity situation they want. Of course, it's absolutely a marketing move to seem more appealing to a certain part of the audience. However, at the end of the day, it's people getting worked up over this are just absolutely fucking hilarious. It's a good move, but it's purely a marketing move. It's nothing special. It's just Potato Head. They're not gonna, like, if they do another Toy Story, they're not gonna make Mr. Potato Head suddenly transgender. That's not what's gonna happen here. These people are losing their minds over nothing. Yeah, there's still going to be Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. It basically boils down to anyone who's angry about this, anyone who's angry at the TRAs, anyone who's angry at the progressive left destroying gender norms in our children, get over yourselves. I wanted to clarify that before we moved on. Alright. I'm not going to do that poll because that's just basically going back to gender norms 1A and B sort of default sort of bullshit. Can we go back to some of the suggestions you folks had? He's a he has a mustache. Think of the children. There was a lot of that. Youth is going to be ruined. Yep, the mustache. Petition asked children to just use their own potato and provide accessories without gendering any of them. We love the outfit, Boner. Thank you. Picturing you literally telling your child, play with whatever the fuck you want. That is exactly what that's exactly how playtime goes. I just like sit them down and be like, play whatever the fuck you want. Just play with any of it. Empty out all the toy boxes, pick something. Quite frankly, my kids have entirely too many toys. Pick a fucking human one. Must keep the potatoes gendered. Everyone knows when you buy potatoes at the supermarket, they must fall into one of two categories. Somebody made a point about that. Somebody made a actual point about that. About I saw a comment somewhere with regards to this. I wish I had saved it. I wish I'd actually saved the comments. Someone was doing the full-blown conservative, freaking out about gendered language, gender norms, all of that kind of shit. And it's like, I can't believe they're, destroying traditional gender roles with this toy, blah, blah, blah. That kind of ridiculousness. And someone responded, do potatoes have genders? I'm sorry, did they take away the potato's gendered physiology that you guys like to go on about? It's purely because of the Mr. thing. It's purely just because the brand is Mr. Potato Head, or was Mr. Potato Head. Like, the brand itself was Mr. Potato Head, despite the fact that there was a Mrs. Potato Head. So they just thought, let's just bump it all in together. Potatoes are both genders on one plant. Well, there you go. Problem solved. It gets kind of weird when we start talking about gender in terms of the gender of mushrooms, for example. What are we talking about when it comes to the genders of mushrooms? That is the beauty of potatoes. Potatoes are NB. Potatoes are non-binary. Can we get some NBs in the chat? There we go. Well, let's clarify. Let's get that out of the way. Who's doing shrooms? Actually, there was some mushrooms growing at a playground not far from me. Today we took the kids out for a walk today. I took the kids out, went for a walk, and went to a playground, and there were these big mushrooms growing out of the ground. I'm like, why the hell are there mushrooms? Loads of them. Azra Blinks, welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. Is there a non-binary Pac-Man? Pac person? It's kind of like, Pac-Man was just Pac-Man. It's not exactly a character you really assign a gender to aside from the man bit. And you could honestly just assume that as a part of the character's name, not even necessarily their gender, until they go Ms. Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, or whatever. And then all of a sudden you've got this, unnecessarily gendered variant of something that didn't really have a gender to begin with. It's ridiculous. Again, Potato Head, just as its own thing, could have just been Potato Head all along. Because they've already got multiple different gendered pieces. Harvey Packman, attorney at law. Stick a bow on it. Oh, clearly it's female now. I'm not wearing my bow tonight. I'm wearing... Actually, I bought another one of... You know the one that looks like a doily that I've got? That's what this one looks like. Can you see that? It's got a bit of a pattern on it. Anyway, my pronouns are she, her, and also if you type !rogue in the chat, you'll get a little bit of a synopsis of me. Hair doily. It's just a hair band, just a headband. There we go. Thank you, Magic. Anyway, Kez, miss being a kid and kicking over toadstools. I should have let them have the opportunity, honestly, but they were wearing like thongs, and I didn't want them to like get all mushroomy, whatever that means. Think about gender toys as like men need to care for babies too and cook and clean, and girls need to know how to use tools. Yes, exactly. Like that's kind of the problem, is like so many of these gendered toys, right? It's like I don't think there's anything wrong with there being tool sets and cleaning sets and kitchen sets and all that kind of stuff. Quite frankly, I think that's all a very good thing. In fact, Kmart actually has a set of toys. Get this right. They've got a vacuum cleaner and a dustpan and broom for kids that are actually... It's actually a dustpan and broom and actually a working vacuum cleaner. That I can get my kids cleaning for fun. I'm not kidding. Let me have a look. Cordless toy vacuum. Yes, this one. Yeah. Let me make sure this doesn't have like my location on it. Because usually like they might have, you know, your zip code to say, oh, we got this one in stock near you. This. Cordless vacuum with real suction to pick up dirt. It's an actual fucking kid's toy. That's an actual vacuum. This is incredible. And yeah, similarly, there's a dustpan and brush, and it's so fucking good, dude. I need to get like 2 of these. Get both of my kids on cleaning up my living room. Get my kids to clean the house. Exactly. Wait. One of the ghosts, Clyde, is non-binary in the game as they appear in both in Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. And there's also Pac-Land. That's interesting, Sabercat. Thank you for that information. Friend bought it for his toddler. That's awesome. I feel like my kids are probably too old to consider it nowadays. Child labor violation. Shh, don't tell the authorities. Thanks for the hydration. Fingers. Okay, let me go back for a sec. Review request queue. Alright, let me just see, like, what have I missed? Have I missed anything today? These are yesterday. Let me go through these. That was done. 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 I'm going through. Okay, posture check done. Hydrate done. Flip off done. Get that one back. There we go. I'm making sure I haven't missed any of my chat rewards. We can stay on top of that. Wait a minute, there's unbanned requests? Tell me there's unbanned requests. Please, don't get rid of them. I want to see them. There's unbanned requests! Okay, I promise we'll do mental health. I promise we will do mental health. That is the main topic of tonight, but can we do unbanned requests? I never get unbanned requests. Get unbanned requests. Oh, shut up, you. Where's the unbanned requests? Where do I find them? I've gone to my mod page. Oh my god, where are they? Edit mod view. No, I'm in the mod view page, but I don't know where to find this shit. Active mods. Unbanned requests. Here we go. Okay. We got one. This person's unbanned request. Can I like make these pop out? Here we go. This is what we're after. Okay. The trolls put in unbanned requests. Here we go. Content time. This is Snoop Killer from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Bans 1. Bruh, it's an alien. Only joking. What is the IA? So he likes pans. They did the pans joke. So confused. Trying to learn. Yeah, except for you made the pans joke. You know what you're talking about. And then they got to this point. Do you have a pussy as you're a woman or are you fake? Was genuinely asking. Deny. Nah. They got auto-modded twice for spamming the F slur. And then... you can't see... Hang on, can I put him like over here in the corner? So it's a little bit... You get a little bit more, you can see it more. Fuck off. That's their response. Fuck off. Add a note to the user, optional. Send deny decision, no you. This person said, vaccines give you autism. My brother got vaccinated and is autistic now, bloke. Burping pig fucker. Autistic people are better than you. There we go. I don't know if they see those. I don't know if they like get sent a message, but they do. Oh my god, that's fucking great. Enjoy, you fucking wankers. Cheshire smiles. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. I hope we get... I honestly want more of those. I want more of those. It is fun. Leave the unbanned request for me for content. You need a friend who would like some help eating tonight. Would like some help eating. Eating what? Or are you... May I ask, are you having issues with trying to eat? Is it an eating disorder kind of thing? Am I allowed to ask that question? So when you say that, like having issues like being able to gain the strength to eat, I suppose. I haven't, like, I have a tricky situation. Like, I try to speak from experience, trying to be more open about it. I mean, that's a good step towards recovery. I will say that much. This is why I try to talk about my own issues with eating on stream. I guilt trip myself a lot if I eat too much, for example. And I try to keep that as an open discussion for anyone who wants to. You just want to eat all the bread in your house. I can understand that. Totally. I will say this. Are you much a fan of black coffee? By any chance? I will say, like, if you're trying to stop yourself from eating too much, black coffee and water are good appetite suppressants. If you're having trouble not eating enough, that one's an area where I'm a bit more complicated for me, I think, to be able to tea-bitch. I mean, a tea-bitch may help there. If you drink some black tea, that could probably have the same effect, that same appetite suppressant effect. Let me have a look, actually. Suppress appetite. Because black tea can promote weight loss and speed up metabolism. That's not really what I was asking. I wanted to know if it can be an appetite suppressant. I believe it can. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it can. But yeah, the issue with, like, bread, honestly, one of the issues I've noticed personally, if I eat anything that's particularly gluten-based, if I eat anything that's particularly gluten-based, I end up eating too much. Black tea with no sugar is yuck, I know. Don't want to spread. You need to eat. Okay, you need to eat. So what have you... So you've got bread available. Have you got anything to make a sandwich with? You got anything that's good sandwich material? I'm wearing, like, a side pony tonight on this side, by the way, for some reason. You were interested in my hair. I've done this for reasons that escape me. It's cute. You only eat once a day? I kind of wish I could do that. Have PB&J, that's a good start. That is a good start. Yeah, nibble on ingredients. How to convince yourself that you don't want to eat or to make food nobody said you had to. Yeah, PB&J is a good start. If you need to eat something, that's a good place to begin. Help me having this with texture. Okay. You could try microwaving it or maybe toasting it. You'll make food and just stare at it. Just be careful if you toast it. You made oatmeal and you just can't eat it? Yeah, I definitely have an issue with certain textures. It's the reason I can't eat onion, for example. Like, I've noticed I don't mind when I can sense the, By the way, hi Amy, I just noticed you there. And Laura, how's everyone doing? By the way, I'm being so rude. I don't mind the flavor of onion, personally. But I dislike the texture so intently that I can't eat it. It disgusts me to my very core. I don't know what it is. Maybe an autism thing? Snacking counts as eating, it does. Can't eat onions, distant Shrek noises. Had a rough day to finish off a very rough week. I'm sorry to hear that, Kez. Might cut up some cheese, that's a good idea. Cheese is always good. Oh, I got some cheese today. And now I'm just thinking about cheese. I got some like vintage. It's only like, you know, store brand vintage cheese, but it's like nice and sharp. And it's a block. It's not sliced cheese, it's a block. So you can cut like the right amount. Cheese grommet. I fucking love cheese too. The cheese is addictive. It really is. Honestly, I can see why some people get so into it. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I saw your tweets or Facebook posts. You hate people. I can agree with that. I don't think I've seen your post today, though. I'll have a look. Nightmares have been getting more and more brutal lately, and you're worried that it's an indicator going back to the way you used to be. You're also conflicted on whether or not you should stop yourself because you're coming to a time in your life where you need to be that again. When you say what you used to be? No, you didn't depress the chat. Tonight is a mental health stream. We are going to be talking. I'm going to be, you know, opening the floor to everyone. If you have some particular advice about mental health issues, we're going to talk imposter syndrome first tonight, and then we're going to talk about anxiety, and we're going to talk about neurodivergent mental conditions, things like autism, ADHD, etc. If at any point you want to talk about some mental health stuff, the floor is open. Floor is open. That's tonight's topics. Tonight's main focus. And tomorrow is cocktails night. We're having a gay old time doing cocktail stuff. Keep in mind, I am not at all qualified to talk about mental health, but I figure it's good to open up this discussion to multiple voices because this is an interactive format after all. So that allows multiple different people to say, well, we can talk about specific ways to deal with specific mental health situations. Anyway, one of your bridesmaids is obsessed with cheese. Cheese. Looking forward to that wedding, Kez. It'll be like the second wedding I've ever been to. I have 20 years of experience in being depressed. I mean, I'm at 31 years myself. Well, I can't say that. I wasn't depressed as a baby. But I will say, you know, I have been depressed largely most of my life. So, and depressed, anxious. I've been autistic as long as I have known. As long as I can remember. So, you know, I've got a whole host of a veritable cocktail of mental health situations going on up there. Conditions that I have experience with. You're not gonna get cheese. Can we get some different breeds and varieties of cheese in the chat? Drop your favorite cheese in chat. Can we get some cheese in chat? Colby Jack. There's so many different cheeses. I want to run a poll of like what's the best cheese. But there's too many. How do we do this? Hang on. Alright, here we go. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the top 5. Alright. Hang on. Just give me a sec. Alright. Dude, my goddamn microphone is right above my keyboard, and my touch typism is not the best at the moment. My touch typism is going out the window. Okay. 5 of the most popular cheeses in the world. Knock your favorite off the list there. Squeaky cheese. How did we get onto cheese discourse? What's the most bougie cheese? Is it blue cheese? Is it brie? Why is mozzarella not in there? I know. I'm sorry. Oh, you found bologna. Nice. I should have put mozzarella in there. I feel like it's too close to cheddar and parmesan though. Whereas feta, brie, blue cheese, parmesan, and cheddar are all fairly distinct. Feta's pulling through with quite a few votes here. Feta's kind of gross, can I say that? I'm not the biggest fan of feta cheese. It lacks Gouda. Don't really eat any of those. I'm glad Roquefort is getting nothing. Because I've tried blue cheese once. It sucks. It's like they just pushed a bunch of ants into a block of cheese and just sold it. That's what blue cheese is. I literally tried a piece once I was like, this tastes like what it smells like when you crush an ant. You ever crush an ant and that smell hits your nose? You can't get rid of it? I think it's supposed to be a warning to other ants in the area. If an ant dies, you know, the smell, like when you cut grass, you know the smell when you cut grass? That smell is a panic response from the grass. Trying to send a signal to other blades of grass. It's so sad. I find cheddar is too strong to be like blue cheese, especially gorgonzola. There you go. It's not? Is it not? That's what I was reading. Yeah, I know. What's grass gonna do? Speaking of mental health, let's talk about grass anxiety. I wanted to make you feel sorry for the grass, so that now every time you cut your grass, you'll feel like a monster. You should. Not gonna unfollow. It's okay. It's okay. But honestly, can I speak about, just for a moment, not specifically relating to grass, but the morning dew. You know, the morning dew on, not morning dew specifically, sorry. That smell, while we're talking about smells and such. Because cheese is smelly. Cheddar wins, by the way, with 5 votes. Followed up by feta, brie, parmesan, and roquefort got no votes. Fuck yeah. Is mozzarella's not specifically cheddar, I don't think. Mozzarella is made differently. Is mozzarella a healthy cheese? It's a soft cheese. Cheddar is a hard cheese. Vegan cheese. Anyway, speaking of smells, you know what I love? You know what I love? You know what I love? I've forgotten the name of it. Fuck. Petrichor. You know what petrichor is? I'll give you a moment. I've mentioned it a few times on stream now. The smell before the rain hits. No, we're gonna get into imposter syndrome in a moment. You can't hear you and it's... Oh, the purple screen of death. Fucking Christ. Twitch. Where are you? I mean, I can't ask you where you're watching from. There we go. Alright, so. Shall we dive into this? Shall we skip ahead to the imposter syndrome thing? Because we haven't actually touched on it yet. We've been doing sort of a warm-up. Twitch has made some bad decisions, which have led to some people seeing purple screens of death. I'm going to put up the purple screen of death. Which is this thing, right, that Twitch has recently been doing. If you're seeing this and you're not already on Twitch TV, click here to get the best Twitch experience. I think what's happening... Remember the anti-union ads that we looked at yesterday? Hello, Vanna. Hello. Remember the anti-union ads yesterday? I think what's happened... Twitch has pulled the anti-union ads that they were running. You know, the situation where there was someone with a gun held to their head off camera. Read the script and we fucking shoot you in the head sort of thing. You know? They pulled those ads and I think they haven't replaced them with anything else. And as a result... What people have been getting, I think what I've heard, is people are seeing the purple screen of death. If you're seeing this and you're already on Twitch TV, please review your third-party tools. Most likely there is an ad blocker or a script running on your browser making it look like you're watching from another site. As we update our service, these third-party tools can affect Twitch's performance. It's either a combination of your ad blocker is working too well, and Twitch is like, hey, stop blocking our ads, or they've fucked up their own ad system. We are going to talk about mental health. Let's talk about it. Well, let's talk into it. We're going to talk about. You stopped it though. Good. Okay, let's get into the news. Well, not the news. It's not the news. We're not talking about the news. We're talking about imposter syndrome. Who knows what imposter syndrome is? Who knows what imposter syndrome actually is? It's when you play entirely too much Among Us and you have a mental breakdown anytime you don't get the imposter role. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I apologize. I should never reference that game on my channel. You just sub to streamers you like, so no ads. Yeah, that's the ideal situation, of course. But regrettably, and I'm one of these people, I can't afford to sub to everybody I like. Otherwise, I'd be fucking broke every month. Especially given that subs for Australians are like $9 for tier 1. Imposter syndrome is this situation. It's not necessarily related to career, but as you've said, Dog, it's strong in your industry. Imposter syndrome is where you're in a certain role, in a certain position, and maybe you've had some level of success, or maybe you haven't. It's not necessarily relating to success, I don't think, specifically. It's where you feel like you're in a position where any sort of praise, any sort of compliment, any sort of award you may be given, anything, where you'll look at it and you'll say to yourself, do I deserve this? This feels wrong. This feels like this is not for me. This feels like this is not my thing. You know, this comes up quite a lot among the streamer community. You see a lot of partner streamers talk about this thing. It's like, here they are sitting at partner. Here they are sitting at, 200 viewers, and they still can't fathom the idea. It's like, why are so many people watching me? Why am I so popular? What's going on? And I think it especially stems from, tends to stem from something when you were younger. Like, you get the sensation you weren't very good at this, that, or the other when you were younger. So when you hit a certain stride in anything in your life, you begin to feel like you don't deserve it. You begin to feel like you haven't earned it. What do I think about the Riley Grace versus Demon Mama thing? I haven't looked at it yet, because it's quite frankly, it's like a 2 or 3 hour video, and then there's a follow-up video from Riley Grace Rochon, where she reviews the footage with Destiny, I think. And I'm like, I don't have the time. I might look into it. If someone puts out like a very short Cliff Notes version of it, I'll watch that. But anyway, it's like a mistake that you achieve something, like someone somewhere fucked up. Yeah, like a good example for me is, well, maybe this isn't a good example actually. This was more me being a skeptic of the job I was working in. But early on, when I was working at the supermarket, I got a little badge that was like their caring passionately badge. And it was like supposed to signify that over that past month, I had been the most passionately caring member of the team. I'd done everything in my power to be the best team member I possibly could. And I was just like, I'll take your badge, but what the fuck? Are you serious? It was more of like they're clearly giving this to me to show that they actually, have some kind of care for their staff members. But honestly, a better example, a better example from my own personal perspective, is the trans thing. I get a lot, and I'm gonna gloat a little bit here, I get a lot of compliments nowadays on being out, being proud, and a lot of people compliment my appearance, a lot of people compliment my clothing choices. Like, there's a lot of compliments being thrown my way quite often nowadays, and I appreciate every single one, and yet I feel all of it feels like I don't deserve it, because there's this underlying issue where, I presented male for like 31 years of my life. So I feel like I've stepped into this other role, and I get this suspicion that I'm doing really well at it, which is weird to say about gender, but there is that routine sense of self-doubt. I look in the mirror and I'm just like, what if they're lying to you? What if it's all a farce? What if it's all imaginary? What if it's all in your head? And that's what imposter syndrome boils down to. In a work setting, it would be like if you're doing the paperwork on the computer or on your desk or whatever it is you do. If you find that you're getting reports back from your supervisor saying, oh, great job, you've been really keeping on top of things, which I know, a manager actually complimenting their workers, what fucking world do we live in? That kind of situation, that kind of communication where you've got someone actually actively saying to you, you're doing a really good job, you're doing really well, and you get that nagging feeling in the back of your head where you're just like, this can't be right. This has got to be fake. This has got to be for someone else. What if I'm not that smart? What if I'm actually just annoying and terrible at what I do? I've had this my whole life, Drago, honestly. And I don't doubt most of you have as well. It's something that everyone, deals with. It's just, it basically, imposter syndrome boils down to self-doubt. Does it have to be with success? Not necessarily. Again, like coming back to the gender thing. That's not really a success thing. I don't feel like my gender is a specific success. Does the Rand Paul thing? I'd have to know what the Rand Paul thing is. Have I missed something? Sorry, I've been sort of talking and glancing at chat, but I haven't been reading anything. Didn't pop up till you were in your teens. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like imposter syndrome among children specifically would primarily pop up with gifted children. You know, kids who are pushed to do their absolute utmost in everything they do, whether it be sports, whether it be music, whether it be theater, typically. Any of those sorts of things. Any of those kids who are like pushed into the performing arts are definitely going to be faced with imposter syndrome at a very young age. One of the things I wish my mother did was actually, you know, push me into music or something like that when I was younger. Would have been nice to have been shoved into something. Trigger warning for transphobia. Okay, let's have a look. So what's this about? Rand Paul questions Dr. Rachel Levine on puberty blockers for minors with gender dysphoria. Okay. Oh my god. I don't want to read the, like, I'm reading these comments and I'm already like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this. I don't know if I could stomach it. Like, honestly, I was looking at Lindsay Ellis's new video, tracing the roots of pop culture transphobia, and everything I've heard about it is just like, I don't want to watch it because Lindsay Ellis is great. She really is. But what I've heard about it is it's like, it's everything you already know. As a trans person, everything you already know that's wrong, this is probably a good video for cis people to watch, not trans people. Probably very triggering. I'm gonna put myself through it anyway at some point. I hate myself. You push yourself to perfection and feel so worthless after accomplishments. I feel that too, Ferrari, honestly. Tied in nicely with disclosure. So hang on. Your rail company changed management, and for a while staff had badges saying, "How can I help?" and everything you say is important to me. I accidentally on purpose misplaced mine, and most of the rest of the staff did in the end because the railway attracts total loonies who will not leave you alone and will pester and ask stupid questions. Interesting there. Also manufacturing a feud with Natalie. Those two are best friends. Speaking of, Natalie's been playing Oblivion now, apparently. I can't wait till she gets on to Skyrim. I'm going to watch ContraPoints play Skyrim for sure. You were a gifted child, big perfectionist, and when you finally accomplished your goal of going to a fancy college, you lost all the confidence and felt like a fraud. Still dealing with those feelings years later. Yeah, exactly. Here's a fun fact. I've never actually played more than the first 6-ish hours of Oblivion. I couldn't get into it. They have Team Natalie, Team Lindsay merch for charity. I need it. Excuse me. My throat's a bit dry. So fucking stressed when you were in high school and started college, you felt suicidal because you felt like your parents insisted you had to be a certain degree. Yeah, I can understand that. I can totally understand that. The issue I had, actually, was that my mother was, oh, welcome to the Rogue Room, cool olds. I'm sorry I missed your follow there. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with this friend. One of the issues I had was when I was going through high school and I ended up dropping out. One of the issues I had was I was struggling so hard to be the best student I could possibly be while my mother was studying and working all at once, and she never had any time for me. So, and she tried her best, and when I dropped out of school, she tried to get me to homeschool myself, but she was out doing work, study, all of this. She was too busy to keep up with both me, my sister, her work, her study. Now she's got a good job and she's in a good position in life. But, you know, her work has paid off. But I'm now left with this lingering feeling of like, and I can't feel resentment towards my mother over any of this kind of stuff. I feel like all of my failings are my own. Dropping out of school, never feeling like I was going to be good enough in school, and then multiple attempts at tertiary education, university, and other courses and things like that, have definitely fucked my confidence with this course that I'm trying to do now, this degree that I'm trying to do now in sociology, which I haven't even started yet. It's been going for about 4 days at the very least. I've got to catch up on some lectures that are available online, and yeah, I am far behind on that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to watch that Rand Paul video. I feel like it would upset me a bit, honestly. Seeing the comments, I don't think I want to watch that. You liked Oblivion in 2006, but it's rough. Yeah, I first played it in like 2 or 3 years ago, and it didn't hold up after years of Skyrim. You're autistic too, Renzo? Welcome in to the neurodivergent squad. Let's go back a bit. Looking forward to law school as not looking forward to law school as an autistic person. Is law something you're passionate about doing? And school as a neurodivergent is very difficult, it is. Especially given that I was one of those NDs that was... and I was passing enough as normal to fit into mainstream classes, like the special needs classes. Detroit, here you go. There you go. The special needs classes I was placed in, not that I wasn't placed in, sorry, were for very severely special needs children. Whereas I was, you know, I guess you could say normal enough by their standards at the time to go into mainstream classes. Oh, excuse me. Welcome to the Neurodivergent Club. Stim toys on the left, snacks on the right. Can we get some stim toys? Get some stimmy stims. Can we get some cubes? Can we get some spinners? Can we get some of these bitches? Look at that. Anyway, as we were saying, Morrowind holds up better. Well, that's good at least. Is there a good neurodivergent emote out there? Good question. Either you do not try in school or you try your hardest to the point where you made one mistake, you feel useless. Yes, honestly. That is one of the major issues I have with study. Is like, I could try my absolute best to absorb every single piece of information that I need to. Listen intently, watch the lecturer, listen to every word that's being said. And at the end of it, I'll come out of it and I'm just like, I now have to write an essay on whatever they just said and I have no idea. I have no idea what they said. Like, I don't have to write an essay, obviously, but it's like, what did I just learn? Like, retaining information is so difficult for me. Especially when it's like a direct teaching thing. And then when I have to confront that information I've been told to learn, the information I've had directed at me, and I have to put that to paper, I'll write down what I think was correct information. And then, you know, if I get like a 70% back on whatever it was, I'll be like, oh, well, great, I'm dumb. I'm a big stupid dipshit. That's one of the major things, you know. Reading the entirety of Order of the Phoenix by the time you were 7, you were an incredibly literate child. So was I, yeah, I was very, very literate. I was reading books meant for teenagers when I was about 7 or 8. When you started falling behind due to burnout, you just completely gave up, didn't care anymore. Demacia, are you me? Are you just me? That's the same story. That's my story. Never attempted to further your learning because you were convinced that you were going to end it all for yourself. Yeah, I feel that. You're here to infest my chat, Errol. Welcome in. Oh, and yeah, like over the years, I've had several attempts at secondary education, tertiary education, things like that. I've now completed, at the very least, my entry level into university, which means I'm technically HSC qualified, you know, like I've completed year 12 of high school, basically. But I do want to, of course, go on to complete this degree. Can we see the outfit? Do we want to see the outfit? We want to see the fit, folks? I think we should see the fit. It's pretty good. I bought this today. And then we'll keep going with the actual imposter syndrome stuff. Let's go into some articles that I've got about this. Check this out. Check this bitch out right here. Look at this. Look at my, oh, gross, there's feet in the shot. You're not allowed to have feet. Look. Check this thing out. I love it. Damn, son. It's a bit tight, though. Like, it's a bit short around certain areas. Looks like a painter's coverall. Yeah, but it's a cute painter's coverall. I hope I never have to paint in it. It's so good. It's so nice. It's comfy. I'm going to find myself going heavily into the coveralls situation. Anyway. Shall we go? Shall we come back? Can't read 2 sentences without getting distracted, Vanna. I feel that. Yeah. I mean, I do tend... this is why I'm trying to, like, force myself into more reading-focused content. You know, we do the philosophy thing. I try to focus on that, and we're doing articles, we're doing news a lot, so I'm, you know, sort of reading and trying to retain information, trying to open my minds a little bit. Passionate about law and criminology, but no, there'll be a definite discrimination both in law school and in your chances to get hired for anything law criminology. Yeah, that's an unfortunate side effect of many things, honestly. People don't want to hire you unless you fit their specific image. Is the purple screen back? What the fuck? Seriously? Oh my god, Twitch, what are you doing? Twitch, what the fuck? Never read at all for pleasure in your entire life. The last few months you've done it for the first time and now you're insatiable. Well, there you go. Bit complex. Yeah, true. Going to the bathroom is a bit tricky in one of these things. You gotta take the whole thing off. Yeah, the purple screen tends to pop up for for random, seemingly at random. So what have I missed? Draco. Cute coverall to cover all of you. You phrase it. It's alright. Made a lot of attempts to go back into education and literally can't. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I've done. I've had that situation numerous times where I've gone into study. I've gone into study on numerous occasions. Different courses, different degrees. I've tried uni on several occasions. It took me about 3 or 4 tries at what they call Open Foundation. Is the degree, the course I went into to get into uni proper, the effective year 12 certificate equivalent, like essentially you finished high school certificate, right? I did that like 3 or 4 times because I just couldn't focus. I couldn't understand a lot of the topics that I would pick. I kept chopping and changing, like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? I didn't know. I had no clue. And any time there was any sense of progress, there was a brief moment of like, yeah, I did it. And then a good example, honestly, is when this was not related to university. This was a different course that I did at something called TAFE here in Australia. It's kind of like a community college, mostly focused on trade skills. I was doing what was the equivalent of my year 10 certificate here in Australia. You've got 2 certificates you do at high school. So high school starts at year 7, goes through to year 12. And at year 10 you get 1 certificate, and year 12 you get another certificate. And I dropped out in like year 8. So, you know, I left it for a few years, came to TAFE, did what was the equivalent of the year 10 certificate. And we had a writing assignment in the second semester of the course, the latter half of the course, which was and I considered myself, quite frankly, an amazing writer. And I feel like I should have won this little competition that the English teacher decided to give us. They said, like, let's rewrite fairy tales. And give them your own personal spin on them. We're going to take fairy tales, put your own personal spin on them. And I thought I knocked it out of the park with my little Red Riding Hood, who rode a motorcycle and was a dude.
Another round.
Draco, thank you so kindly for the...
For everyone here who's been wanting to go back to school but various mental health issues are hindering you, I believe in you.
Thank you, Draco, for the support, for the mental support for everyone in here, and for the 100 bits. I thought my motorcycle riding Red Riding Hood was cool. I came second place, and you have no idea what kind of a scar that left on me. Thank you, Draco. Hearing people's non-linear histories with education is so fucking validating right now. You mean like just chopping and changing, jumping all over the place? Like we're talking about one thing and then another thing and then another thing? Is that what you mean? Or like do you just mean like breaking up? You know, you dropping out of school, going back to school later? Because I'm going to jump all over the place if I talk about my own personal history. I think the special needs classes need to be split up between people who actually want to be there and people who are too violent or distracting for normal classes. Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Here's why modern clothing is better. No wonder people died of diarrhea having to take off this lot to visit the water closet like putting on a spacesuit. Hang on, what's this? Hang on. Oh, yeah. I think I see what you mean. Oh my goodness. If you just want to watch that video, yeah. Like, I can just I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I'm not going to skim. I'll like, speed this up. Can I playback speed at, like, 2? Or, like, you know, putting on all the clothing, getting dressed in the 18th. I mean, how accurate is this? Getting dressed. Oh my goodness. It's accurate? Jesus fucking Christ. Make sure you shit before you leave. You're going out for the day? Make sure you take a shit before you leave, okay? Alright. Okay. Dropping out, going back, deciding not to. Yeah. I think a lot of us can relate to that, honestly. I think there's this idea that you're supposed to go from primary school, and if you're in America, you go to middle school and high school. But here in Australia, it's like primary school, high school, university. You come out of university with a degree. Like, this is the ideal situation. This is the way the education system is structured. Right, is you start in primary school, or you start in daycare, ideally. You start in daycare, start getting those basic socialization skills into place. Then you go to primary school, you go through all of the basics of education. You start learning all these essential things. Then you go into high school, you learn some deeper ideas. You start getting used to the concept of going to a number of different classes across a campus instead of being stuck in one classroom for an entire year. And then once you're done with, like, say, most of high school, you go into a situation in high school where you can pick a major. You know, that sort of gets you prepped for uni, and then you go into uni and you go for a degree, and it's a lot more work and effort. And the idea is you go through all of this, you come out at the end of it with a degree, and that degree is supposed to get you into a really good job, and at the end of it, you are really, really... at the end of it, you are really, really set to be set out into the world and make things perfect for yourself. Hello, Emmy. How's it going? How am I doing? I'm doing well. How you doing, Otto? And thanks for the hydrate and the posture check, Fox. Alright, so that's the situation. Primary school, high school, university, career. Right? Career. Right? Is the end goal, you would argue, about the general way the education system works. There you go, Fox. However, and this is one of the, quite frankly, biggest issues we face with regards to imposter syndrome. That structure is what we're told is the way things are going to go. And quite frankly, I'm worried that my kids are going to eventually learn, you know, you go to primary school, you go to high school, you go to university, and you end up going through a degree and you come out with a good career on the other side, which is proving less and less true. And as a result, when we break away from that system, again, I dropped out in year 8 or year 9 or whatever it is. And then, you know, it took me ages to get back into education. Then I did a bit of that education. Then I had to drop back out of it again for a little bit. And that's staggering of my learning process. You know, I'm now 31, trying to get into a degree, which I'm not even sure is going to get me a job. And by the time, like, if I go into it, and I end up taking it as slow as I can so I don't stress myself the fuck out, I'm not going to be done until I'm like 39, right? So I'll be middle-aged and have a degree, and then what? I'm supposed to start a career then, and even then. And this is one of the major issues with this imposter syndrome thing, is like, if we don't match up to the expectation of the world around us, then we get this innate crushing feeling of like, I'm never going to be good enough. And even if we have those little successes, even if we have those little milestones, enrolling itself was a milestone for me. I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go full time, 4 courses. We're going to nail this out in 3 years. Excuse me. And I'm going to be super successful at the end of it.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
But then I realized the stress of it was actually causing me physical harm, tiring him. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. Excuse me. Going through all of that pressure, putting all that pressure on myself to, you know, get through a full-time degree when I haven't been studying for ages. It's been years since I've been in a university setting. And here I am staring down the barrel of education again, and I'm just absolutely terrified. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, am I going to be able to do this? And, yeah. This, again, like we have 6 weeks off in the summer. Yes, we have 6 weeks off in summer in school, yeah. There's like 6 weeks off in summer for school students, and then there's like 3 2-week breaks in between, like all the other stuff. And the terms, I should say. We talk about... So here, let's read this article, right? Let's read a bit about this. Let's read a bit about this. So, like, let's read from the perspective of an actual article written by somebody who's got their words out. Because I know what I'm talking about. I know what the imposter syndrome experience is. But let's read a bit about it. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome, or IS, refers to an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. While this definition is usually narrowly applied to intelligence and achievement, it has links to perfectionism and the social context. To put it simply, imposter syndrome is the experience of feeling like a phony. You feel as though at any moment you are going to be found out as a fraud, like you don't belong where you are, and you only got there through dumb luck. It can affect anyone no matter their social status, work background, skill level, or degree of expertise. The term that was first used by psychologists Susan Imes and Pauline Rose Clance in the 1970s. When the concept of IS was introduced, it was originally thought to apply mostly to high-achieving women. Since then, it has been recognized as more widely experienced. You're supposed to take 20 hours of credits. There's a whole system. There is a whole system in the education system. It's very, very tricky, very difficult. So here are some of those common signs, right? And like this is a thing that actually strikes me today. I had a very very warm compliment in my DMs from Scaredy Ginge, telling me how I'm slaying it lately, telling me how I'm doing so well lately. My YouTube, my Twitch, my Twitter, honestly. Why is the purple screen back again? Oh my goodness. And of course I had to send a polite message back thanking her for it, because it's very nice to hear that I'm doing well. But that self-doubt comes back again. That self-doubt. That's one of the most common characteristics of self-doubt. An inability to realistically assess your competence and skills. You know, whenever somebody tells me I'm entertaining, whenever somebody tells me that they can't wait to see my streams, or they keenly await the next VOD or video that I put up, I was like, I don't think I'm that good. You know, I think about myself and I'm like, it's not that entertaining. Surely not. No way. Attributing your success to external factors. I do this all the fucking time. I deflect any little bit that I have done well, I attribute to something else. Except for Dark Souls. That's entirely me. Any of my successes in Dark Souls, that's all me, baby. I did that. Berating your performance? Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. If I put, like, let's just say, for example, let's stick with the streaming context here. Because that's what kind of kicked this off, is the idea around doing an imposter syndrome themed stream came up around the idea that I've seen people, especially in the... I did redeem your finger, I did. I saw it, I did it. You might not have been paying attention, but I definitely did it. There's definitely a lot of streamers, you see this routinely. A lot of these streamers in the streaming community, especially on Twitter, will have a happy-go-lucky personality most of the time. And then they will post a very serious tweet. I do this way more often than I need to. It's just like, sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. Sometimes I feel like everything that I'm doing isn't, blah, 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 blah. I feel like I'm not entertaining my audience enough, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. They're constantly beating themselves down over their performance. If they have even a dip in stream, and it's a good thing, honestly, to get this out there. It's a good thing to say to the world, hey, I'm not feeling the best about how I'm going here. Because especially if you have a following, if you can get this out there and say, look, I don't feel like I'm doing the best. I feel like I'm struggling. I feel like I'm not being the greatest at streaming that I could be, or not being the best at whatever it is you do. Getting that out there into the world. And feck, not that one. Sorry. Didn't mean to delete yours, Cheshire. That was an accident because chat was scrolling. Oops. Yeah, that can come with anything. Like, if you put that out there into the world, though, other people can see it and say, well, hey, I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone in self-loathing the way that I am performing in general. You know, if I feel like I'm not a good streamer, welcome back, Unicorn. If I feel like I'm not a good creator, if I feel like I'm not a good YouTuber or any of those kinds of things, seeing someone else put that out there, it's just like, don't feel like I did too well today, etc. Hold still for a sec. There we go. Go sit in the corner. Especially seeing, quite frankly, someone as big as, you know what strikes me? ContraPoints. Coming out openly about her opioid addiction. Specifically posted on Instagram, she's been struggling with opium. Like, actual legitimate opium. And that's not really the same thing, but like, people being out about these problems they're having. says to the audience, says to the rest of the world, it's like, the people you look up to have problems too. Do I think an upvote or downvote system might help as you were annoyed with Netflix change their voting system? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Pure opium isn't as bad as opiates. What she said in one of her streams recently was like, opium is bad, worse than some other drugs because you're not just getting addicted to one thing, you're getting addicted to like 400 things. Is how she phrased it. Hello, Tally. How's it going? I'm doing well. How are you doing? I inspire you. You'd love to stream yourself, but having such a hard time finding any confidence. That is tricky. That is very tricky. I think, honestly, one of the things that pushes me to stream and pushes me to keep doing it is I have this obsession. Quite frankly, this is one of the things that I hyper-focus on. And maybe it stems from my childhood of maybe not getting as much attention as I would have liked. Like, again, my mother was studying all the time and working all the time, trying her best to take care of us. And my dad was barely there, so like the parental attention that I almost never got. And then in school, when I did go to school, I was an attention-seeking kind of kid. I was the look-at-me kind of kid. I wanted people to know who I was, but when I moved and went to a different school, that disappeared overnight. You know, when I first went to high school, I wanted people to look at me. I wanted people to pay attention to me. And then we moved house, and I moved school, and I was like, oh shit. I'm in a terrifying new place, and all that confidence disappeared. And now, with regards to streaming, I think that's the reason I have the confidence. Yes, I'm Aussie, yes. Do I have a favorite Dark Souls? The first one. Or Bloodborne? Dark Souls 1 or Bloodborne? Oi, oi, oi. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Yeah, what was I saying? Just noticed. I'll have to try a Kiwi meat pie, actually. Honestly, I'm never very fussed about Australian meat pies. They're kind of, yeah. They're a thing that exists, but I prefer a sausage roll. If we're gonna have a bakery good, I'm gonna have a sausage roll. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I was very much an attention seeker when I was a lot younger, and then I think that disappeared for a while. And when I found out about streaming, I was like, you know, I pushed away my old attempt at content creation years and years and years ago, which was just let's make a Minecraft Let's Play, and then I put that aside, and I went and became a parent for a few years. You know, I pushed all of my old ambitions away, got a regular job, went back to living a normal life because I was in a relationship, kids, had to just function, had to just be a cog in the machine for a while. And then I found out about streaming in 2018, and that rush of like, look at me came back. And yet, what I've done with that is also reignited the imposter syndrome situation, where it's like, if I'm doing good with my streams, which, let's be honest with ourselves, I am lately, my streams are doing very well, and it's kind of intimidating. It comes around to that thing, it's like, why are people watching me, though? Why? And then, you know, if you have even one dip in stream, you have any dip in content, you're just like, oh my god, you're the worst at this, you're failing, should throw it all by the wayside, you pathetic piece of shit. How dare you? The fear that you won't live up to expectations, whether those are the expectations of your audience, the expectations of the people around you, your friends and family, the expectations of your superiors, will you live up to your own expectations? Or just hydrate it. This whole thing is there's just so much here, honestly. Reflections on why you stream and how that produces imposter syndrome. I think anything can. And like, obviously, imposter syndrome can affect anything. Thank you for helping you eat genuinely in all the chat. You're welcome. The ultimate sausage roll. Hey, Kmart sells sausage roll makers at the moment. Oh my god, look at this monstrosity. Goodness, oh my lord. Oh my, I mean, I want to eat it, don't get me wrong. I mean, Jacinta, I hope you're not watching. Oh my goodness gracious me. Look at this bad boy. Oh my god, now I want a sausage roll. Okay, now I want a sausage roll. Don't start playing your fucking video. Oh, anyway, you're in the States on the East Coast, currently 6 AM, really gotta go to bed. Wish you could stick around, especially for the neurodivergence talk. Either way, evening, Pam. Well, I hope you get some good sleep. We are going to talk neurodivergence a little bit later. We've talked a little bit about it. Proud of you, girl. I've been watching Twitch since mid-2019. This has been that one community that you feel most at home with. I'm glad you feel that way. Unicorn. There you go. See, like, that's the... perhaps you'll catch the VOD. If you're not already subscribed to the VOD channel, that's Rogue Offline, the second link there. You can catch all the VODs, or, I mean, you can just watch them here, generally speaking. Here's the thing. Actually, this particular note here in this article is very relevant to what I was just talking about before. Trans ring. Type exclamation mark ring in chat if you want to know where I got that from. Please, for the love of goodness, set your address properly when you order it, which is how I fucked up. There is another one of these out there in the void, out there in the world, just floating around. Because I didn't put my address in correctly the first time, they had to send me a second one. And I didn't pay for it either. So please, if you like the ring, go support this store because they helped me out big time by sending me a second ring. It's good metal, yeah, it's stainless steel. The colors are epoxy resin, I think. So you got to take it off if you're washing your hands or something like that. So you can't wear it all the time. So I take it off and I fiddle with it. Anyway, this particular point here, Dell. There you go. Another glimpse of the ring. This part here feels very relevant to what I was just talking about with regards to university. Setting challenging goals. Wait a minute. Self-doubt is listed 2 times here in the list of characteristics. Setting very challenging goals and then feeling disappointed when you fall short. I think it's just that if you keep washing the ring over and over and over again and keep putting soap on it and all that sort of stuff, it does degrade over time, yeah. So if you want to preserve it long term, you should take it off before you wash your hands and stuff, yeah. And they said also to avoid, like, I guess getting it, like wearing it when you're getting really sweaty, like if you're in the gym or something. Something along those lines. They have a buy one, they've got a bunch of them, yeah, they've got a bunch of pride flags on there. But yeah, this one, self-doubt times 2. I mean, if that's not the big kicker here about, if this is not the big kicker about imposter syndrome, self-doubt, just in case you missed it, self-doubt. You can say something about your Etsy if you want. Gotta prepare things. If I'm still on, you'll rate me. Oh, I appreciate that, Kiara. I mean, hang on, let me just check something. I think I'm following you. Am I following you? Let me follow you if I'm not already. And if you're still going, when I'm finished, I'll raid you instead. How about... Purple screen. Anyway. Well, that's fucking hell, Twitch. A lot of self-doubt. But yeah, the thing here that I am particularly interested in is setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. This feels really relevant to the situation around uni. Like, I enrolled in uni. I said to myself, I'm going to do a full-time uni degree. 4 courses. I'm going to go as hard as I can on this whole situation. And push myself to read all of the text and do all of the essays and all that shit. And of course, it came to the point where it was actually causing me so much anxiety and so much stress, and it was actually physically giving me chest pains. Where, you know, it wasn't so much the feeling of disappointment as, you know, this idea of, it's like, I can definitely do this thing that's incredibly demanding when I've got kids to think about, when I've got streams to think about, when I've got all these other things going on. I'd have to completely uproot my entire schedule, do a full-time university degree. And then, of course, the eventual result of it was I do feel disappointed that I had to drop 3 of my courses to eventually come down to, you know, a single course for this semester, maybe 2 or 3 next semester. Fingers crossed. We'll see how we go. with this just this one semester of one course. But yeah, that did hurt me to go into the uni and just be like, oh, I'm gonna have to like get rid of most of this junk. If you legit need anyone to proofread, give feedback on papers, absolutely, yeah, that'd be awesome. Actually, if you are all interested, I'm considering doing this with regards to my with regards to stream content, taking maybe a bit of a Riley Grace Rochong approach. Well, there's Cheshire's Etsy page. If anyone wants to check it out, you make art, anything, and everything crochet, even lewd if you like, paintings, drawings, anything. There you go. Nice. Or a chunky, snuggly cardigan. That's cute. Don't play your stupid video. TimeMagazineWebsite.com. We're back. Welcome back. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking of taking, like, you know, once we get into the actual study thing, once we actually get into the studying thing, maybe we could study together in the Discord. Hey!
Money for the Queen.
The Queen of Twitch. Thank you, Fox. Thank you so kindly. My goodness. Again, this is another thing. Anytime people are giving me money on stream, I get this suspicion, I get this sensation. And maybe this would be relevant to people who have worked in a particular field for a while and they get offered a pay rise or a promotion or something. It would be another factor of this imposter syndrome stuff. You know, you get the suspicion that, you know, oh, apparently I'm doing well enough that my employer wants to pay me more money. I'm doing well enough that I'm being congratulated on my success as this person or that person in this job or that job. And I think a lot of people would definitely get that sensation of like, they must be doing it to fuck with me. Love the bisexual lighting. We love the bisexual lighting. How you doing, Stages of Phage? You'd study with us? Even if it means you can't join in too much as you're not in uni. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be if you're in uni. You know, I could just like look up certain texts that we might need to read for certain topics. Because I would really like to study on stream if I can. Like, learn about the things I'm supposed to be learning about on stream. Not watching lectures and all of that. But like, if I need to read texts for an essay, I'd like to read those texts on stream and discuss the subjects within. You ever reach a point in life where someone actually wants to fairly compensate me for my labor or break down in tears of joy? I feel that. Yeah. Why do people flood chats for? What do you mean flood chats? Do you mean like trolls jumping in to be assholes? Because we've had that happen a few times actually. We've had a bunch of trolls jump in at once. Food needs to simmer. Let your food simmer. Let your food chill out a bit. Sabotaging your own success. Who's sabotaged their own success in the past? Who's done that? Who's been going really well at something? Fairly compensate yourself by doing a slow down strike as your standard of work. That's kind of relevant. It's like, who sabotages their own success? Who goes out of their way to... Yeah, relationships? Yep. I've been there in numerous relationships where it's like, why is this person with me? They could be with someone so much better than I am. Yeah, like, but yeah, again, like in any kind of working situation or anything. Sammy, hello, Sammy. How's it going? How's it going? You know what I need to do is I need to set up a Stream Deck thing with all of my regular, all the people I should regularly shout out, which includes all the inconsolables. What's the next topic? Well, once we move on from imposter syndrome, we'll move on to maybe neurodivergence. Because, I mean, we have sort of tackled anxiety a bit in here as well, but we can talk about anxiety at length if you want. Can't be if you polyam and have about 2 partners and like 5 people you love. Wouldn't let you sabotage. Who's like, fuck no, you aren't doing this. Well, that's nice. I'm currently very, very, very single, and I'm staying that way because I have a tendency to sabotage relationships. Yeah, Queen Cat, honestly, exactly the same. I absentmindedly push people away. Talking about assholes, have you seen how the anti-feminism gang are now defenders of J.K. Rowling, including Bering and Sargon of Akkad? I've only heard those names. I mean, aside from J.K. Rowling, I know who that is, obviously. But I only know of Sargon of Akkad, actually. The anti-feminism gang. I'd need more context. But I barely know who Sargon of Akkad is. Hello there, carpet cleaner. Shopping around various LGBTQIA plus streams before bed. Remind of 3 things. You are loved, you are valid, and you are a lovely person. And so is everyone else in this chat. And so are you, carpet cleaner. Thank you so kindly for swinging by. I hope you have a lovely sleep. I think you sabotaged a relationship, but you were dumped via text by someone who decided to move out of state and live with an abusive ex. Well, that's not very nice of them. A tone change in voice can set you off thinking you've done something wrong because they are going to hate me, leave me, and then pull everyone away. So I'm left with no one. Wish you didn't, because it causes periods of anxiety and depression. Immense periods of anxiety and depression. Oh yeah, I feel that. Anti-misandry. Oh my goodness. Seen him in H-Bomber Guy thumbs. Obviously he's a lovely chap. He's supported by those whose whole career is shitting on feminism and giving cover for fascism. Maybe what you're doing isn't feminist. True. Very true. Moved back a year later because shockingly they kept fighting. What a shock and horror there. Why do warehousing jobs pay more than individuals with a college degree? That's a very heavy topic. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. Why do they? I mean, that's kind of relative, isn't it? Wouldn't that kind of be relative to various different warehouse jobs? I mean, as someone who's never worked a warehouse job, nor a college degree earning job, I don't have the specific experience to be able to speak on it, like the economic information. Too unstable for a relationship? Yeah, I feel that. Here, the bitter pill is softer with Canadian Hulk Lance of the Serfs. Sargon comes to the defense of rich reactionaries. I'll watch this one later. I'll save this one for later. Honestly, this is kind of a thing that's maybe potentially relevant to a thing relating. Oh my god, Abigail! For goodness sake. Maybe this is particularly related to my own imposter syndrome thing. Is like right now, I have this particular issue where it's like I don't want to stream longer than 3 hours. But at the same time, you folks tend to throw a lot of content at me where I'm like, I could totally go for 6 or 8 hours of just streaming through so much different content. So many different ideas, so many different things to talk about. I feel like I'd burn myself out if I were to do like 8-hour streams daily, of course. That'd be way too much. But I do have the suspicion that maybe, that could be a thing further down the line. I've done some calculations on like what would it take for me to go back to doing really long streams, especially focused on just chatting and reaction content and reading news and reading about stuff. Because like I used to do 6 to 8 hour streams routinely, and other days I would do like 4-hour streams, and it was way too much, and I was pushing myself way too heavily. But I was doing mostly gaming, and honestly, like I feel like I enjoy the content of discussion far more than gaming. I find this works so much better for me. So let's have a look here. Honestly, like the discussion around wider warehouse jobs, because I want to come back to this. What would you even? Do you have any resources to help elucidate that, Detroit? Because I'd like to expand on that, but I don't know where I would begin, Detroit, honestly. And not to mention, like, a college degree could be anything. There's a lot of jobs that require a college degree that would get you good money, I think. Architecture, for example. Architecture is a good money job which requires a college degree. So much gaming on Twitch and you just want to chat? Yeah, and I found that was the problem that I had with streaming games was like, this is the reason I took this Switch. The screen is fuck. Look up warehousing pay jobs in Detroit. Okay. And we're going to take a break in a few minutes and then we'll come back and we'll talk anxiety and neurodivergence, I think. $15.78 an hour, up to $18 an hour, $15 an hour, $18.77 an hour, $16.25 an hour. I mean, these are pretty reasonable paychecks, I suppose. Warehouse employee. You don't believe it? What do you mean you don't believe it? This is on Indeed, mind you. Salary warehouse in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, this was the problem that I had on when I was doing gaming content, was that I would focus very heavily on discussing things while we were playing the game, and I'd want to stop and I would like to talk about whatever would come up, but we'd be playing Dark Souls, we'd be playing Minecraft, we'd be playing whatever. And I began to realize it's like the thing that I enjoy the most is the discussion, not so much the game. The game was just a convenient backdrop to talk about whatever was going through my head. And then I realized, why don't I try expanding my horizon of ideas? Try expanding my thoughts on certain topics, and let's actually do a discussion-focused stream. And that's where we got to where we are now, which seems to be the best course of action. Good old nonsensical your mum jokes. Your mum is a calculation. Yeah, he is. The pay is similar. Honestly, I'm not even sure where you would go with that. I suppose that speaks to the idea. It's like that raising the national average minimum wage to $15, which has been completely looked over by the Biden administration. But like that speaks to the issue. Hey Peter, how you doing? Receptionist position for a medical facility, which requires a... Alright. That speaks to the idea of like raising the minimum wage of everyone in the country to 15, and people saying, oh, well, but then like our teachers are going to be getting paid the same amount as people flipping burgers, and like, doesn't that just say to you that the people flipping burgers should be earning more money? Not the people teaching should be earning more. The people flipping burgers should be earning more money. But doesn't that say that the teachers, the people who have degrees, should be earning more money? People who are teaching children. Can you stop, Glassdoor? Don't try to make me sign into your website. But yeah, receptionist for medical salaries in Detroit is $2,000 a year less than the warehouse salaries. That's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, that's crazy. At any rate, now look at teachers' pay. Okay, hang on. Well, this says 70,000. Detroit schools raised new teacher pay by 33% to 51,000. That's one. Where'd this 70,000 number come from? Horrible for someone with a master's degree. This is from last year. District wants to recruit experienced teachers from charter schools. District public schools are raising teacher salaries to $51,000, making them the highest paid first-year educators in Metro Detroit. To improve a 33% increase over the current starting wage of $38,000. $70,000 could include private school teachers, but how many private school teachers are there compared to public school teachers is a question you would want to ask. I've always had the suspicion there are more public school teachers than there are private. But I may be wrong there, I guess. I don't quite know.
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
Sephiroth, welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. We are going to take a break in just a moment. I think we're about wrapped up on imposter syndrome. We sort of veered off the topic a bit, but we did get some good discussion in there. We did get some good chats in there about it. When we come back, we can talk about either anxiety or neurodivergence, neurodiversity. Or we can move on to some other stuff. It's up to you folks. Like, we could do the full mental health spectrum of ideas, really. Mental illness, everything. We could just like rattle off concepts, things that we know about the world. If you want to make 70 grand a year, it requires a master's. Wouldn't shock me. Back with food. Sounds good, Draco. Sounds good. In the UK, private teacher salary can easily be 2 times that of state teacher salary. Goodness. Goodness gracious me. That's a bit. That's a fair bit. And that's kind of the problem, isn't it? That's kind of the issue there. Why are public schools not funded well enough that the teachers can be paid well enough, and the teachers, have a... I mean, I'm sure there are very good public school teachers, but I dare say, the best of the best are poached by private schools, I would argue, you would think. And public schools, well, quite frankly, just not funded well enough. We need to pay our teachers more, quite frankly. Who agrees? Do we need to pay our teachers more? Yes, we do. All right, we're going to take a break there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk. What can we do? We'll do anxiety and ND. We could try to fit in both. I think. Really enjoyed our time together, but you got to go to bed. Radio Cheshire. Have a good one. Have a good rest. Appreciate you being here. You had a degree and you were being paid the same as a burger flipper. As long as it was an adequate amount, you wouldn't give a shit. Not going to go work in a sector for the money. True. But you would hope you would, if they raise the minimum wage for burger flippers, then they absolutely should raise the pay that teachers are getting if they're getting a comparable pay rate. So yeah, if people are saying, oh, teachers are going to be making as much as burger flippers, or like the job I'm working in right now, which is, higher skill or whatever, if a burger flipper is making as much as me, well then, if a burger flipper is making as much as you and you say it's an easier job, why don't you just go work as a burger flipper? They raise the minimum wage and that turns out to be the case. What that says to me is either you need a pay raise if your job requires that much skill, or you could just go work as a burger flipper. Private head teacher salaries reach up to $300,000 a year, which is $471,480. Yeah, it's up there. Abolish the need for pay and give everyone their needs. Ideally, but that, Draco, would be socialism. Not allowed to have socialism. It's evil, apparently. Socialism bad. We'll be back in a minute, folks. Don't go away. Hello, I'm back. Sorry if I beat you to your jokes. I don't mean to. Friends, I have a peculiarly long teaspoon. A long teaspoon. Look at the length on that bitch right there. Look at that. That is a long teaspoon. Thank you for the hydration, Draco. So, what if instead of beating me with jokes, you just beat me? No, don't do that. Fucking shaker bottles, man. Trying to refill my fucking water over here, and the lid closes on me. It's a fucking nightmare. I hate this. I hate shakers. They're shit. They're not very good. I was just thinking, like, for tomorrow's stream, for anyone who missed it, I don't know if we're going live earlier or what we're doing, but Calgar is coming to my place at around 3 p.m. Also, I have a blueberry yogurt. That's why I've got a teaspoon. Calgar's coming to my place around 3 p.m. I don't know when we're starting stream, but we're going to be doing cocktail stream tomorrow. Got to let everyone know tomorrow at some point what time they need to get to my house for cocktails. And I was thinking, since I am the hostess, and Jeff's going to be in it, I'm sad that I forgot to invite Kristen. I should have invited Kristen. Anyway, what was I going to say? I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll look up some fun facts for stream. We'll look up some fun, interesting topics to talk about so that I'll prepare myself mentally. So I've got something to chat about on stream. Kristen's a friend of mine. She may not have been able to make it though, so who knows. Too late to mention now. Too late to mention it to him now. Alright, so shall we move right ahead to I kind of want to talk neurodiversity a bit. I kind of want to talk like autism and stuff like that. ADHD, executive dysfunction. We kind of have dipped into this with regards to the imposter syndrome thing. And I don't think imposter syndrome is necessarily specifically related to neurodiversity per se. I think it's certainly relevant, but in particular for those who are not aware of what neurodivergent means, it's basically having a less typical cognitive variation. Our brains don't quite work the same as most typical people would. So we've got neurodivergent people and we've got neurotypical people. And I think schizophrenia does fall under neurodivergence. I suppose, I dare say it would. Neurodivergent. The brain is wired differently from the norm, yeah. Subsequently, blah, 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 blah. Tourette syndrome, schizophrenia, some mental health conditions such as bipolarity, schizoaffective disorder. This is kind of an interesting thing that's come up fairly recently, I've noticed. Here's an article. Mental disorder or neurodiversity. This is from 2012. Goodness me. I thought this was a relatively new topic. This idea of calling us neurodivergent, or someone mentioned the idea of calling, say, autism spectrum disorder, autism spectrum conditions instead, which is probably a better way to phrase it. Because my main experience with neurodivergence is autism. I am autistic, and I'm gonna put this out there. We did do a poll about this. The other day, somebody asked who's autistic. Let me put this out. Are you neurodivergent or neurotypical? Now, this is a very tricky thing, I would say. Because, yeah, neurodivergence specifically is... It's kind of weird to phrase it. Let me bring this back in a little bit. It's kind of weird to phrase it as neurodivergent or neurotypical because it sort of paints people in a certain way, I suppose. Hey, gamer girl, how's it going? It kind of says, you know, the normies over here their brains all work exactly this way every time. Meanwhile, the neurodivergents are over here being weird, and we all work completely differently from each other. It's a bit of an unusual phrasing. I suppose it's just that it comes down to that common categorization that we tend to have. By the way, if you vote neurodivergent, are you specifically medically diagnosed? Is also the question I would like to ask, because I am medically diagnosed as autistic, which I think may be a failing on my part. No, that's just self-loathing. Ignore that. That's just me self-loathing. That's just me hating myself. So what is categorized as neurodivergent? Anything that could be, like dyslexia counts as neurodivergent. Dyspraxia, autism, ADHD, and... what is dyspraxia? Specific learning difficulty affecting coordination, movement, balance, and organization abilities. Other types of neurodivergence, developmental dyscalculia, that's a weird word to say, is a specific learning disorder that is characterized by impairments in learning basic arithmetic facts, processing numbers, and performing accurate and fluent calculations. Dysgraphia that affects written expression. Mears-Erland syndrome is a perceptual processing disorder. It's not an optical problem. A problem with the brain's ability to process visual information. Hello, Emmy. How you doing? I'm eating a blueberry Yopro. We've got 7 neurodivergence, no NTs in chat, apparently. Hey, OBGN, how you doing? Hyperlexia, a syndrome observed in people who demonstrate the following cluster of characteristics: a precocious self-taught ability to read words which appears before 5, and or an intense fascination with letters, numbers, logos, maps, or visual patterns. Tourette syndrome, an inherited neurological condition, the key features of which are tics, involuntary and uncontrollable sounds and movements. This is a complex condition, and a large amount of people with the condition may experience other disorders or conditions such as anxiety. OCD, common mental health condition where the person has obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors. What was the vision pattern thing again? I think that was Mears-Erland syndrome. Perceptual processing disorder. It's not an optical problem. The problem with the brain's ability to process visual information. Mears-Erland syndrome, or Erland syndrome. It's spelled like this. Synesthesia, condition in which one sense, for example hearing, is simultaneously perceived as if by one or more additional senses such as sight. Another form of synesthesia joins objects such as letters, shapes, numbers, or people's names with a sensory perception such as smell, color, or flavor. I get the suspicion I may, like, and this is all just maybe, maybe this is, what's that term? Where you think you have a medical disorder? I feel like I have a very faint version of synesthesia. Specific, this is really weird. Yeah, hypochondriac. Like, certain games are associated with certain smells to me. And I don't know why that is. There's no reason for that. There's no actual reason for that. Particularly games from my youth are associated with certain smells. Like, if I were to play them, I would smell that smell. Very weird. All things considered, writing a message to someone to try and deal with the unintended consequence of a hypomanic episode seems fitting. I think it's good to talk about mental health problems that we have. Have I ever done drugs? Caffeine. And alcohol. And paracetamol. And Antarone. I mean, I haven't done hardcore drugs, no. Brother has the same thing with games and smells and also TV shows. Yeah, certain TV shows would do it as well. It's a very strange thing. What'll I smell when I hear Nick Avocado? Fart. Probably. Lately you're addicted to Chobani, Emmy. Chobani's good. Chobani is some good shit, honestly. I used to get the big tubs of Chobani Greek yogurt, light Greek yogurt. And I would buy blueberries. I would buy frozen blueberries and throw them in there, and some muesli. And that was like a that was a gaining food. It was a gaining meal. You'd get a serving of the Chobani, a serving of blueberries, a serving of the muesli, and just go swole mode. It was protein-packed lunch. Different visual thing in that list. Something to do with fixating on visual patterns. Let me have a look. Not dyscalculia, not dysgraphia. Hyperlexia, maybe? A syndrome observed in people who demonstrate the following cluster of characteristics: a precocious self-taught ability to read words which appears before 5, and or an intense fascination with letters, numbers, logos, maps, or visual patterns. Hyperlexia. There we are. Struggle with different textures, loud noises. Some noises make you uncomfortable. Can't deal with people touching your shoulders. Too bright hurts. That sounds like me when I'm going through a sensory overload episode with autism. We're all self-diagnosing tonight, apparently. I mean, maybe it's not a bad thing. Because realistically, if we were to... Some people do legitimately self-diagnose after researching all of the different symptoms they may be having that feel ND, neurodivergent. And then you might go to a therapist or whoever it is that would actually give you a proper diagnosis, and they'll give you the diagnosis you thought you had. So it can be worth it, like, quite frankly. Anyone watch that show Love on the Spectrum? I have not. I think I've heard of it, though. Might go to bed, got work in the morning. Sounds good, Fox. Have a good rest. Have a good sleep. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Clean as a coping mechanism, like you scrub the kickboards in the kitchen today. Maybe I should pick up that habit. I've often thought, you know, maybe there might be... I think, quite frankly, I do have a tendency to tick, but I don't think I have Tourette syndrome. I'm definitely autistic, and ticking is a factor of autism. Where were we? What was the page I was on? I've lost it now. Dyspraxia, other neurodivergent conditions. Here we go. And then, of course, we come back around to anxiety, the feeling of unease, such as worry or fear that can be mild or severe. Everyone has feelings of anxiety at some point in their life. For example, you may feel worried and anxious about sitting an exam or having a medical test or a job interview. But quite frankly, I think certain people experience more severe anxiety than others, depending on if they are neurodivergent or neurotypical. Ticking also ties in with ADHD, that's true. That's true. But I think specifically with regards to Tourette syndrome, the ticking is severe. It's the primary facet of Tourette syndrome. When I'm going through a stressful period, I tick a lot. But when I'm going through more of a chilled out, you know, things have cooled off a bit like they have right now with the university thing being less of a stress on me. I think that stress has eased off a bit. Like, I was definitely ticking a lot more, or stimming. Hard to say. Maybe what I was going through was stimming and not ticking. But I do have certain ticks. And I do have certain stims. That one. I do that a lot. When I'm in a... Like, if you see me in public, I'm going to run in the other direction. That's terrifying. No, if I'm in public, sometimes when I'm like in a big public space with lots of people, I'll bring my elbows in close and I'll do this a lot. Crack my knuckles together or like bang my fist together. That's an anxious response. And quite frankly, most of the time I can't even control it. I realize I'm doing it and I can try to actively stop myself, but I can't actually do it. I can't bring myself to stop doing it. Massive pain in the ass. So you got this habit where you tap your teeth with your fingernail pretty much all day. Oh, I can imagine that isn't very comfortable. I need to finish my yogurt. I do this thing where you run a thumb over the back, see nails on your fingers. It can be like good sensory relief, I think. You know, to alleviate certain feelings you might be having. Having that sensory relief can bring you calming. Well, a tick is uncontrollable. A tick is specifically uncontrollable. And ticks can be more severe, especially with regards to Tourette's. Like, if you watch Sweet Anita, some of her tics are really, really, really severe. And that's where things get... That's where like the overlap between something like Tourette's and something like autism tics, for example. I can control my tics with enough effort. Main tick is actually harmful to yourself, and your parents took you to the doctor's heaps when you were younger and tried to get you to stop it. You never managed to stop. And now even your boyfriend has to ignore it because it's the only thing that provides relief. Yeah. I don't know if you would call this a tic, but definitely a response I have to extreme stress, extreme duress, is self-harm. Not cutting or not, taking drugs or whatever, but there are actions I commit that are definitely, if I'm under enough stress, there are things that I will do which actively harm myself, and that's very difficult to deal with. It has to reach a point of extreme stress before I get to that point, and it's uncontrollable. And I just have to wait for the episode to stop, realistically speaking. So, little things like this where I'm nervous and I'm clapping my knuckles together. That's an easy anxious relief situation. But then you've got people who are like me, who are autistic, who are much more severely autistic. And you'll see the kind of thing I'm talking about in certain autistic cases that have been reported on, where they will display very, very... I don't want to use too many, self-harming responses. Anxious responses, I suppose you would call it. I don't want to use that phrase too much because I worry that it might set some people off. But you'll see that in more documented severe autistic cases where they will get to that point, and it's hard to bring them down from that state. And those are the cases where that's a daily thing for them. Whereas for me, it's not that frequent at all. When I am in that state where I am dissociating and I can't bring myself back down from this terrifying place where my own body is being used against me by myself, it's quite scary, honestly. Quite terrifying to, to look at yourself in the mirror and think, why am I doing this to myself? At times when you're anxious and you're in pain, you dig your nails into the palms of your hands. Right, now I'm aware of that. I have nails too. That's not a good thing. Oh god. It's quite startling, honestly, how easily we can bring evil upon ourselves, I suppose you could call it. Bring bad things upon ourselves. It's alright, I'm not going to do it. I've got my own little responses to things. The daily thing, you can't help it, so you just hide it, scratch your skin. Oh no. I totally understand though. And like, the worst I've gotten is honestly slapping my legs or my head. And there have been times where I bruised myself. I've never done the bleeding, self-bleeding sort of situation. And it's difficult to talk about this. It's very difficult to talk about this. But at the same time, I think it's worth opening this discussion because, again, we come back around to the imposter syndrome thing. Big creator talks about dealing with imposter syndrome. Lots of other people realize, hey, I'm not alone in this. And if we open up and say, oh, we deal with situations where we are hurting ourselves. And yeah, it's not okay, it's not good for us. But at the same time, we realize we're not alone in doing this. And there are other people out there who understand what we're going through. And I think that can help us maybe come to terms with it and maybe... what's the phrase I want to look for here? Maybe find better coping mechanisms. But I suppose that's something that's perhaps better suited to someone who is a professional in this field, can help you come to terms with that. Such a deeply personal thing, it's stuff you hide from everyone. Yeah, definitely. The idea is fun, being aware that you're not always the one piloting your own mind and body is great. Oh, yeah. I wish I knew more about that, honestly. Yes, unicorn, absolutely. If you want to take off for a bit. Absolutely. I understand. Don't really have the uncontrolled tics per se, but you do remember a couple of times when you were particularly frustrated with a situation where it... Yep. Have I told the story? I mean, I've told this story a few times. Where my autistic stress... I don't know if you would call it... I don't know what you would call it specifically. But the level of anxiety I was going through during a thunderstorm that was happening at that moment, caused me to start banging on a nearby window to the point where I put my fist through it. Stage of the Phage. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, chill out with us. Yeah, I put my fist through a window, lacerated my wrist, or my hand. There was a cut on my wrist, and it was bleeding quite heavily. And that was just because I just couldn't control my response. The storm was freaking me out so much. Nowadays, I'm fine with storms. I've put holes in walls. I'm such a Kyle. But yeah, that's probably the worst case of like where you know I was trying to hold it in as much as I could, and eventually just through the window. I was like banging on the. I don't know what I was hoping would happen. And again, I think this is the problem that some people don't realize. It's like autistic people are not acting autistic to annoy you. Neurodivergent people are not expressing their neurodivergent symptoms to piss you off. They're doing so because, quite frankly, they can't control it. And this is, again, the case with me. It's like I put my fist through that window because I couldn't stop smacking on the window. I couldn't stop myself going bang, 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 bang. And then straight through. Another trans gal with ASD. Honestly, there's a strangely high correlation of autistic girls who happen to be trans, or autistic people, I should say, who happen to be trans, I've noticed. Or rather, trans people who happen to be autistic would be the better way to phrase it. There is something of a correlation there. Again, not necessarily causation. We have talked about this in the past page a couple times. Largest study to date confirms overlap between autism and gender diversity. I don't have any theory. I don't know of any theories on it, but there are studies on it overlapping. TERFs love to jump on that. Shoot me in the. Who wants to go kill some TERFs? Let's fucking go. There's some turfy bullshit. We'll do some turfy bullshit soon. We'll do a turf stream soon. Let's kill some turfs on like what, Monday? Kaiser from PS4. What's Kaiser? Hang on. In video games. Let's kill some turfs in video games. We'll go into Dark Souls and we'll reskin all the hollows to look like J.K. Rowling. They have to protect the poor autistics from the evil transing doctors. Yeah. Oh my god, it's a bunny emote. I know who that is. Can we get some trans rights in chat? I love Nicole, she's fantastic. Anyway, people who do not identify with the sex they were assigned at birth are 3 to 6 times as likely to be autistic as cisgender people are, according to the largest study yet to examine the connection. Gender diverse people are also more likely to report autism traits and to suspect they have undiagnosed autism. I don't play any games on PS4 at the moment. I haven't been playing games for a while now. I've sort of jumped off the gaming train for a bit. Researchers often use gender diverse as an umbrella term to describe people whose gender identities, such as transgender, non-binary, or genderqueer, differ from the sex they were assigned at birth. Cisgender or cis refers to people whose gender identity and assigned sex match. The results come from an analysis of 5 unrelated databases that all include information about autism, mental health, and gender. All these findings across different datasets tend to tell a similar story, says study investigator Varun Warrior, research associate at the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. Autistic people are more likely than neurotypical people to be gender diverse, several studies show, and gender diverse people are more likely to have autism than cisgender people. Excuse me. Isn't there already a very, very brightly colored Doomslayer armor in Doom Eternal? Someone needs to invent a non-sex symbol action hero called Turf Hunter. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. I mean, again, the unicorn armor, that's the one I'm thinking of, yeah. Just add some, like, light blue to it and you've got yourself trans armor. Autistic people are more likely than neuros. Yes, we did that, neurotypicals. But most previous studies have probed the relationship among people sought gender... Hang on. But most previous studies have probed the relationship among people who sought gender-related medical care, often for gender dysphoria, a condition in which the mismatch between gender identity and sex assigned at birth causes significant distress. That cohort doesn't represent the full scope of gender-diverse people, says Aaron Jansen, Associate Professor of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Northwestern University in Chicago, Illinois, who was not involved in the work. It's so vital to understand this question of the clinical context, Jansen said. A more naturalistic study with this many participants outside of a clinical context does provide a lot of support for this overlap. Gender and autism. The 5 datasets include 641,860 people, mostly adults. 30,892 have autism, and 3,777 identify as gender diverse. The majority of the data, from around 514,000 people, came from an online survey conducted as part of a 2017 British television documentary about autism. There we go. Stuff like this makes you wonder if you're trans and so deep in the closet repression of that you don't realize it since you're autistic. Maybe the amount... I mean, it's possible. I was very repressed for a very long time, but I also don't want to push anyone to make changes to their life, their gender, that might bring them significant harm, you know, especially in a social sense. Or anything. It's very tricky. You know, I don't want to be the one going around breaking people's eggs, if that makes sense. Maybe the amount of introspection people with ASD need to do tends to lead to discovering things about themselves, yeah. And again, I've known since I was like 16. I've known that I was trans since I was about 15 or 16, and I did the research. I was like looking at hormone therapies, surgeries, and all of that. And I pushed it back in that closet behind all of my clothes. And kept it hidden there for a very long time. Do I live around Manly? I'm not going to clarify that. Hold the fuck up. Chappelle Corby is now on Dancing with the Stars? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? What? Oh, fuck. Chappelle Corby, for anyone who's not aware, is an Australian woman who was convicted of smuggling cannabis into Indonesia. She spent 9 years imprisoned on the Indonesian island of Bali. Since her arrest, Corby has publicly maintained that the drugs were planted in her bodyboard bag and she did not know about them. Welcome back, Unicorn. We're talking about Chappelle Corby now. Corby was convicted on the 27th of May 2005 for the importation of 4.2 kilograms of cannabis into Bali. She was sentenced to 20 years by the Denpasar District Court and imprisoned in Kerobokan Prison. On appeal, her conviction and sentence were confirmed to finality by the Indonesian Supreme Court. In March 2010, Corby petitioned the President of Indonesia, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, I can't pronounce that, I'm sorry, for clemency on the grounds of mental illness. In 2012, she was granted a 5-year sentence reduction. Ballet. Is this some Aussie joke come too non-criminal to understand? I mean, yeah, she was a criminal. According to her parole conditions, Corby was able to leave Bali on the 27th of May 2017. She was deported and returned to Australia. And now Chappelle Corby, the girl who was imprisoned on Bali for a drug crime. I mean, yeah, like a ACAB, I guess. Like, fuck the system that put a woman in prison for drugs, for weed that she claims wasn't even hers. And, you know, do with that information what you will. She's only famous for having been arrested for smuggling drugs. This is the caliber of celebrity that you will see on Dancing with the Stars. Can we just clarify that right now? If you're the kind of person who watches shows like Dancing with the Stars, this is the caliber of celebrity, of star that you are dealing with. Any of these reality shows, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I'm sorry, who the fuck are you? I actually watched a bit of one of these shows once, and I did not recognize a single one of these people. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Are you a celebrity, though? I've never heard of you. Hello, Amanda. C grade is that's still way too high. What counts as a C grade celebrity? And now, A person whose only claim to fame is that she spent 9 years in Bali in prison for drug smuggling. Is considered a celebrity for Dancing with the Stars. Z grade. This is F grade. You're not a celebrity and you're staying here, damn it. What makeup do I use? I use well, it depends what makeup. I actually bought a really good mascara today, which seems like it did a good job, but quite frankly, I'm barely noticing it. Most of the stuff I use is BYS or ELF. The really cheap stuff you can get at Kmart, honestly. I never heard of you, and all I could do was the Monty Python Holy Grail. Was it Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Yeah, it was. For a moment I was thinking, is that the Life of Brian? But no, that's a different bit. He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy. I'm a celebrity, get me out of debt. The current leader of Indonesia is an interesting character. He's a total metalhead. Would he have let Chappelle Corby out of prison though? I mean, she's out now. I suppose it doesn't matter. She's out now. What the fuck? I didn't want to click on that. I just opened the Daily Telegraph's menu and opened the pet section. Let's go through this a little bit. This is just so bizarre. This is Chappelle Corby, okay? This is Chappelle Corby right here. I don't want to watch your fucking video. Hugging has been the hardest part for Chappelle Corby in preparing for her latest television role. Yeah, I guess I clicked on like this and accidentally scrolled down the menu without meaning to. Corby will compete as a wildcard entrant on the latest series of Dancing with the Stars. Oh, fuck. After Australians got a taste of the 43-year-old on the hit show SAS Australia, so she's been on another telly show. I'm not a big hugger and didn't realize how much body contact I would have to do. May I make the comment that having been in prison in Indonesia for a significant length of time, I do fear what she may have encountered with regards to body contact. You know, prison's not a nice place. I'm not wearing a lipstick, I'm wearing a lip gloss. You know, I feel like that would have some potential PTSD ramifications with regards to bodily contact. But anywho, neither here nor there. It is something I'm not used to, and my time in rehearsals, that is something my dance partner and I are working on. The convicted drug smuggler. The convicted drug smuggler. Go sit in horny jail for a bit. The convicted drug smuggler has been hard at work training in Brisbane with professional dance partner Shay Mountain, ahead of production kicking off in Sydney over the coming weeks. Like, again, weed, marijuana. I don't believe anyone anywhere in the world should be in prison for having any amount of marijuana on their person or in their personal belongings. No one under any capacity should be going to prison for owning marijuana, even if she claims it was not hers. I don't care. She didn't need to spend 9 years in prison for weed. Watery tarts distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. Supreme executive power derives from the will of the people, not some farcical aquatic ceremony. Corby spent a decade in the notorious Karobakan prison before being released on parole following her 2005 arrest for the importation of 4.2 kilograms of cannabis into Bali. She is not a dancer, nor has she ever seen an episode of Dancing with the Stars, which returns to Channel 7 and will see her compete against the likes of all-star contestants Ada Nicodemu, who, Fifi Box, vaguely know of her, Erin McNaught, and Tom Williams. Again, who, and who? What? Who are these people? Fifi Box I've only heard of because she's appeared on, I think she's on radio, the radio star. So like, let's clarify right now, Dancing with the Stars, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, etc. These are boomer shows, right? These are on public access television. But boomers can't afford Foxtel. And I mean, I can't afford Foxtel, but I don't watch public access television. The ad before this stream was an ad for pine cones. Like, that isn't the most boring thing you could ever shop for. Someone's buying pine cones, John, I guarantee you. Doctor Who was on PBS, true. Ideologically, Indonesia and the Philippines are very similar to one another, culturally not so much. We got completely off track, by the way. We're not even close to on mental health anymore. We've gone on to Chappelle Corby now. I did Tiny Tots music and dance class until the age of 10 or so. Tap dance, modern, jazz, classical, and Highland. I think that was the last time I danced, she said. I am nervous I'm going to freeze up, go blank, and forget all my dance steps. I look forward to the energy of the audience, but my plan is to focus on the dance and trust in my partner, Shay. Well, there you go. There you go. I guess, like... This, again, I'm not trying to disparage Chappelle Corby. But this just kind of shows you the fidelity of celebrities that they go for. Celebrities. Like, I could get a spot on Dancing with the Stars if this is the caliber we're going for. Someone whose claim to fame is going to prison. You gonna head out, Rena? Thank you for calling me a beautiful goddess. Thank you. Have a good one. Have a good... Are you having a sleep? I mean, it's nighttime here. It's 11:15 p.m., 11:13 p.m. Good night from me at the very least. Hold on, Unicorn. I'll put this poll up. Getting off work. Oh, right. Yes, true. Here's your poll. And go. Oh, no. Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can fix this. I can salvage this. There we go. Our cat's buttholes. There's your... Is that a sufficient poll for you, Unicorn? I think that's quite a good one, honestly. Honestly though, like these I'm a Celebrity shows have always intrigued me. I don't doubt, honestly, I don't doubt that there are certain people who I would consider to be somewhat celebrities. You got Barjo and Hex, who stream here on Twitch now, for example, who were on Good Game, and they've got other things going on. They've got their streams, they've got whatever it is they're getting up to these days. They've got other projects, so I don't think yes, adorable ones, true. Just we'll say that's number 5. Option number 5 will be yes, but they're adorable ones. Just throw that up there. I feel like that's implied, though. You know, there are certain celebrities, who I get the suspicion they'll do like one project that does well for them, and they won't touch anything else. Until someone slides a thing across their desk, it's like they want you to be on Dancing with the Stars, or Celebrity Big Brother, or I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Or Naked and Afraid Celebrity Edition, or Survivor Celebrities, or Married at First Sight Celeb Edition. Blah, 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 blah. You get the point. These stupid, dumb shows. The Block. Celebrity. Celebrity The Block. Where they renovate a house under that asshole who's known to be a bit abusive, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That bloke. Anyway. Did watch the first season of I'm a Celebrity mostly because it was family time and it was entertaining, but also because it had like kind of real celebrities. Yeah, I think they tend to start out, the first season or so, they tend to start out with people who actually have some measure of some inkling of a following. Naked and Afraid sounds fun. What is that show about? Let me have a look. I get the suspicion I know what it's about. Discovery. What is it? What happens when you put two complete strangers, sans clothes, in some of the most extreme environments on Earth? Each male-female duo is left with no food, no water, no clothes, and only one survival item as they attempt to survive on their own. Rightio, then. Like, I get it, I guess. There you go. Not the show, just the title. Yeah, the title sounds fun. Naked and Afraid sounds like a BDSM. It sounds kind of creepy, actually. And we have confirmed, with a grand total of 12 votes, that yes, cats are buttholes. There was no other option there. That you know, we had to get to that point. Yes, cats are buttholes. Went to get the rusty food. You nearly missed the poll. Barjo and Hex were your gateway into discovering your bisexuality during your teen years. Again, I'm still like on that titillating title. We were talking mental health. Imposter syndrome, anxiety, neurodivergence. Oh, you mean Naked and Afraid? I mean, that's really what it all boils down to. Like, the reason Big Brother is successful, I mean, it's not really the reason Big Brother is successful, but Big Brother harkens back, of course, to the 1984 thing, which is honestly the entire concept of the show. Put a bunch of people in a house and have cameras on them at all times. They can't do anything without being under the watchful eye of Big Brother. And quite frankly, it's kind of ironic. Big Brother is the kind of show that would appeal to people who haven't read 1984. Which, again, I haven't read it yet. But shut up. I'm going to. You're in a stream the other day where a psychology grad student was talking about BDSM as a red flag for psychopathy. Yikes. That kind of reminds me of, like, we had someone in stream at some point who was saying, who came to me and said their psych professor suggested that being trans was some kind of mental disorder that, then, like, I forget what exactly their reason, what else they said. Like, oh, my psych professor said being trans is a mental disorder. What do you have to say about that? I had to say, get the fuck out of my chat about that. Go fuck yourself. And even were it, is the issue here. Even were it a mental disorder, and the treatment is transition, who fucking cares? Like, there was a discussion that Bad Bunny was having recently that I'm going to try to reiterate now, that harkens to the idea of gender and sexuality. And the argument she was making on her stream at this particular point, if I recall correctly, was, were it a choice to be gay, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, were it a choice to be transgender, were it a choice to be gender non-conforming, were we to make this decision actively, does that matter? Is that a problem? If we decide for ourselves, if we were to make the active decision for ourselves that we wanted to transition, that we wanted to be gender non-conforming, that we wanted to be gay, be straight, be pan, whatever. If we were to make that decision for ourselves, sit down, weigh up the pros and cons and go, yep, I'm actually gonna be gay, does it affect you? If someone made that decision, if someone actively did choose, if it was actually a choice, which it's not. You know, we actively know that it's not a choice. We don't decide this. It's not something we actually do sit down and weigh up the pros and cons. Some of us stay in the closet because we've weighed up the cons and they are actively a thing that will harm us. And I've weighed up the cons, the pros, and I've decided, you know what? I'll take the bad with the good. I know I'm going to probably suffer at some point throughout my life because of this. But at the same time, it's like, I can't keep pretending to be someone I'm not. Take on being gayness is why would I choose to be a thing that my family and many others would revile me for, which continues into what Micah said. If it were a choice, why would anyone choose to be humiliated, harassed, assaulted, and potentially killed for who they love? Exactly. Even if it were a choice, why would we choose something that we know society is going to demonize us for? You know? And even if it were a mental disorder, like they tend to say it is, based on what I don't know. Even if they were to say sexuality or gender are mental disorders, do we deserve to be demonized for something that we didn't choose? Do we deserve to be demonized for something we did choose, or do we deserve to be demonized for something we didn't choose? Which of the two is it? You know, if somebody chooses to harm another human being, demonize them. If I were to actively choose to transition, which I guess I did actively choose to transition, but I didn't choose to be trans. You know, those are two entirely separate issues. Someone choosing to represent themselves more in line with their actual gender identity, as opposed to someone choosing to commit an action that's demonstrably a vile act. Discovered that you were attracted to women also when solo traveling at 26, but have always fallen into straight relationships. There's a bit of there's a bit to suggest. I mean, first and foremost, right, with regards to bisexual folks, one of the major issues. Somebody actually brought it. There was a thread on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. This dickhead who did some analytical, statistical bullshittery. Did some fuckery around. There's this Glenn Greenwald thing. Who's seen this? I haven't read the whole thing. But where is it? Of Americans now claiming bi identity, the vast majority of them in long-term relationships are in opposite-sex relationships rather than same-sex ones, right? You want to know why that is? Because it's significantly easier to find an opposite-sex partner than a same-sex one. Like, significantly easier. Even if they are attracted to the opposite. Like, it's just... That's it. That's the argument. A lot of bisexuals who are in hetero-presenting relationships probably are so because it's, quite frankly, easier. Easier to find a partner who is, you know, easy to find an opposite-sex partner. It's almost like there's more straight people than gay people. Crazy that. Wild. What a concept. Following your happiness and being your true self shouldn't be considered a negative thing or a crime, yeah. And the arguments that I routinely see against people who are trans, who are gay, who are whatever, is like, the arguments I see made against them are entire appeals to emotion that have no basis in reality. It's all this fear-mongering. There's so much fear-mongering around queer people. And honestly, one of the big fear-mongering points comes back to that these people are deciding to choose this. I think they've sort of generally moved away from the choice argument. But it does still crop up from time to time. If, as some studies claim, only 10% of the population falls under the LGBTQIA+ banner, of course it's easy to find a hetero relationship. Silly phobes don't consider that. Facts don't care about your feelings. I like how the moment you drop the trans flag, Botwick goes trans liberation now. I swear that bot's listening to us. He also made the argument that the big increase in trans people in the survey was lesbians being transed, despite the number of lesbians also increasing in the survey. Kind of crazy, like, we now live in a world. We now live in a society. We live in a society, folks. Can we get some societies in chat? We now live in a world where, despite the constant pressure against us, we're also seeing a significant increase in representation for trans people, and queer people in general, I should say. Thereby, there are a lot more queer people who were previously in the closet, hiding away from the world because they thought there was no acceptance, now saying, oh hey, there's a lot of acceptance. There's a lot of people out there who are like me, which means there's a place for me in the world, which means I can come out. What up, German? How's it going? Let's change the topic, because we've sort of moved on from neurodivergence and all that. Let's move on to... what can I change the title to? Queer statistics? Is this too heavy of a title? Statistical analysis of the queers? I mean, I am one. Like, statistical analysis of the queers. That's the title we're going with. Giant sausage roll. Queering statistics. Statistically speaking, I am very gay. He then had some take on the huge increase in millennials compared to previous generations. And again, that comes back to the same thing. Like, we're allowed, because there's more queer people out, more queer people are coming out. That's how that works. Imagine if the numbers get to such a significant, like, they're going to keep pushing this. They're going to keep saying, oh, the queers are taking over. As more and more queer people come out and the stats go up, which is very, very incremental, by the way. One out of every one Amanda Pan is a queer as fuck. Good. So anyway, let's go from the beginning of this. Some really fascinating findings in this big new Gallup survey on Americans identifying as LGBT. It should lead to lots of deeper investigation to understand what explains some of these astronomical changes. Not astronomical, calm down. It's representation, shut the fuck up. But for now, a few points to note. There's been a huge explosion in the number of Americans identifying as LGBT. Close to 1 out of every 5 Gen Z so identifies, 17%. That's more than 4-fold increase from Gen X, 4%. But almost all of the increase comes from those identifying as bi or trans, not gay or lesbian. Yeah, because we're beginning to realize that sexual orientation is not exactly one or the other. There's a whole spectrum of gender identity, and we are picking pretty common labels here. And more people coming out as trans. That explosion. Did I say explosion? Explosion. Oh. Tank. And your tank sorry, I'm dumb. It's late. Better society, get over it, you prick. Everyone's at least a little gay. What's important is to what extent you are gay. Quite frankly, I believe that. True. I think there is, honestly, given that sexuality is a spectrum, given that sexuality isn't just like one or the other, there's no one that's 100% straight, quite frankly. You can live an entirely heterosexual life your entire life, start to finish. But I think there is at least some inclination, some level of attraction everyone feels towards the same sex. Doesn't mean you want to fuck them. But, you know, I won't deny that I do appreciate, as someone who identifies themselves as a lesbian, I do look at certain men who are like bodybuilding types. And I have a certain level of appreciation for the physique that does skew into attraction partly. Hard to say. It's a weird thing to say. But also not quite. It's very weird. I guess maybe I can appreciate the aesthetics, but I don't want to fuck one of them. I guess Greenwald never read the Kinsey report. Glenn Greenwald is a bit Yeah, apparently there was, I don't know what he's known for, but apparently earlier on in his career, well, he's vegan apparently, he wasn't too bad, and now he's done this whole thing, and he's just skewed heavily into transphobia and biphobia and all that. Almost all the increase comes from those identifying as bi or trans, not gay or lesbian. Isn't the problem saying it's a spectrum means it means boring or religious sex should be in the same league as hot Berlin leather daddies? Yes. I have plenty of straight friends who still appreciate the female physique. Well, yeah, true. I suppose that's understandable. It's I suppose it can be more than sexuality. People be like, you like guys, so you want to bang guys. I'm like, not always. Sometimes I want to go on a date and cuddle. Yeah, he's meant to be a liberal, but you only ever see him doing reactionary shit and alt-right cover. Yeah. Ugh. Hello, Catalina. This is again this cycles back around to what I was talking about. It's like I used to actually be fairly reactionary before I realized how much of a dipshit I was being. Eventually I was like, oh hey, stop being a dipshit. And I think these particular ideologies can skew you further and further down a slippery slope into dumb. Of Americans now claiming bi identity, the vast majority of them in long-term relationships are in opposite-sex relationships rather than same-sex ones, 33% rather than 3.7%. Again, we already covered this. It's because it's easier to find a heterosexual relationship than a same-sex relationship. So 10 times more people who identify as bi, in quotes, he puts it in quotes, questionable quotes, hey Ty, how's it going, live in hetero-appearing relationships than gay and lesbian ones. As famed lesbian Kitty Perzog notes, there are now, among millennials and Gen Z, more people identifying as trans than lesbian. He has previously argued that masculine girls are now encouraged to identify as trans. Who is encouraging? Hi, welcome to the Rogue... not welcome to the Rogue Room, thanks for the host. Who is encouraging people to transition? Like, who's actually pushing lesbians to transition? Again, Ty, by the way. There you go. His links to Julian Assange always left you feeling uncomfortable? Look at the highlighted stats. Let's have a look at this actual statistics here. Gen Z, lesbian, like the... What is he saying here? 1.8% of Gen Z. There's more lesbians. What? What? The fuck? What was he saying? What is he saying with this? Previously argued that masculine girls are now encouraged to identify as trans. Maybe. They went up by 0.4%. No, 0.6% on both. 0.6. Lesbians increased by the same amount as trans people. 0.8 to 1.4, 1.2 to 1.8. That's 0.6%. Gay and car math. It could be safer to identify as bi or trans now, but you like the theory that Biden's forced feminization program is a fault. Actually, the identifying as bi thing is a very good point, true. Identifying as bisexual is probably safer if we come back to this thing. He's like, the people who are bisexual are in opposite sex relationships rather than same-sex ones. And it's like, it's probably honestly safer for them to be in opposite sex relationships to preserve the notion of the traditional relationship. These people who are bisexual may want to explore more bisexual relationships, but are unable to do so because of the fact that they would be persecuted for it. Also easier to hide, yeah. Here's Katie's article exploring whether the disappearance of lesbian culture... What disappearance? Is due to the encouragement which masculine girls receive from the society, therapists, healthcare workers to identify as trans. Do they realize that people who think they are trans seek out therapy for it to help them come to terms with it? Like, no one goes to their GP and says, I feel a little bit trans, and then the GP sends them to an indoctrinating psychologist who straps them into a chair and feeds them trans ideology. Like, it's not what's going on here. NYPD unleash robot surveillance dog. I have heard of this. We can have a look at that after we've done with the gay statistics. Like, no one is brainwashing people into becoming trans. Where is this rhetoric coming from? Clearly, the massive increase in Americans self-identifying as LGBT, which they're entirely allowed to do, I don't see what the problem is there. Like, quite frankly, one of the big issues that the UK has is before you can properly transition, you need to, like, submit some forms or something to a secret, shadowy council of cis people that you never meet, and they judge whether or not you've been transed enough to transition. Or some freaky bullshit like that. Anyway. So even self-identifying isn't really helping you here. An increase due overwhelmingly to more bi and trans self-identifiers is partially a function of increased societal acceptance. But that's clearly not the only factor, and I doubt it's the primary one. What was the point he was making here? What was he going for with this? I just cannot fathom. What exactly was he, what angle was he pushing for here? Other than just being outright queerphobic. Is this fear-mongering? This is obviously fear-mongering of some sort. Look, the new generation, who are generally more progressive than the previous generation, that's always been the case, that's how it works, are more likely to be bi-identifying, trans-identifying. We're subverting the lesbians into trans men. Clearly, Elliot Page was a psyop to coerce more lesbians to convert into trans men. Obviously. You've found us out, Glenn Greenwald. Take us away. You have to live life as the opposite gender for 2 years, and anything the cis-hets think doesn't fit the gender stereotypes is used against you. Yeah. There was something else as well. This is the issue. That came up a little while back. People were trying to get their... What were they trying to do? Trying to get their gender ID changed or something like that? They were trying to... I forget what exactly it was. But, they wouldn't... Something about a driver's license, they weren't, or something about their ID or something. They couldn't have their new photo ID taken to match their gender identity because they weren't feminine presenting enough. Like these particular trans women who were, yes, trans women, but again, trans people don't owe you, like trans women don't owe you femininity. He's doing the 2 + 2 = you insert whatever theory you like. This guy has zero clue what he's saying. That made zero sense. Of course, when society is more accepting, we'll see more people coming out because they feel safer in doing so. Acceptance doesn't create more of us, it allows us to open up about who we are. Bingo. Speaking of Elliot Page, you were watching Ruthie play Beyond too. So, oh yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that as I was watching Ruthie play it. I was like, this is weird. Elliot Page is not this person. I mean, I know that's just a role they played in a video game. But it's still super weird to see it. It's like... Because you know that character is specifically femme-presenting. First they turned the straights gay, now they turn the gays trans. It's the straight to gay to... It's the straight to bi to gay to trans pipeline. As a Gen X person who can tell you why there were less of us when you were 16 and tried coming out, you were threatened with electroshock therapy. Yeah. Things have been kind of really bad for a while, and maybe the fact that we're finally outlawing conversion therapy in numerous places around the world means we're moving on from it. We're finally feeling accepted in the world. The right-wing grifter Ariel Scarcella, or whatever Tracy Emin stunt double's name, has been screeching about lesbians. Yes, I did hear about that particular video. I do need to actually watch something of Ariel Scarcella's, because she strikes me as a particularly very, very trans-hating kind of person. There was Lily Simpson put out a video about Ariel Scarcella and her specific NB phobia. Like, here's Ariel Scarcella asking a bunch of questions about, like, what is non-binary? I don't understand non-binary. And it's like this very, very easy definition to what non-binary is. You can Google it, Ariel. Like, it's not difficult. It's not rocket science. You clearly have access to a computer to edit your videos, provided you edit them yourself. Surely you know how to use Google. And here's the thing. Here's the situation with this. Is we know that people like Ariel Scarcella with audiences, people who are... And look, here's another article. Another video from Samantha Lux. Go follow Samantha Lux. She's fucking incredible. She's like Blair White if Blair White wasn't a tumor. If you like the aesthetic of Blair White, the really, really feminine trans girl, go follow Samantha Lux instead. Samantha Lux is the lefty Blair White that we all need. Hello, Yarrow. How you doing? Anyway, yeah, Ariel Scarcella saying that non-binary identity is sexist and misogynistic. It's ridiculous. Samantha is gorgeous. Inside and out. She's fantastic. Where were we? Did I hear about how people are reacting to a school trialing pronoun badges that hit degenerate Reddit? Oh, God. Do you have an article? Do you have a link? I need a link. I don't know who this person is, but they have a response to Sia's movie, and I think I'll watch that later. Yes, please. Give me something to watch later. Fuck yeah. Used to not be able to comprehend non-binary. It seemed like such an alien concept for a long time. I think your mind was dead set on operating on a binary and it couldn't accept anything else. I don't think you can have a lefty Blair White because lefties actually care about facts and integrity. I mean, like, in terms of the aesthetic. Samantha Lux very much emulates the Blair White look. If that makes sense. Except Blair White is specifically more bimbo-fied, I've noticed. Does that mean to say, you know what? Fuck Blair White's feelings. Yeah, Blair White, like, it's just the heavily made up, hair done, nice outfits, like, you. Very, very overall, very pretty. Give me a link. Give me a link. Thank you, Yara, for the 100 bits. Yeah, like, the very, very pretty, done up, has her nails, hair, makeup done, has a kind of a sassy, snappy vibe about her, bit of attitude. If you want that kind of content, but you don't want to watch Blair White because she's a cunt, watch Samantha Lux. Get a feeling Blair White, you get a feeling much like Blair White, they're emailed a script, and once they've done the hate piece, they get their Mercer paycheck, as gender is the right-winger's wedge issue, and now it's obvious that birth control and abortion isn't a vote winner. True. What's in Brisbane? Okay, Brisbane's high school introduces badges in strong step towards gender inclusion. Alright, let's have a look. 4BC1116. I've never heard of this joint. Let's have a look. On the topic of bimbos. What's this? The rise of bimbofication. Okay. Alright. One thing at a time. Yeah, I used to watch Blair White, and I used to think she was good content, and honestly, again, I will give her credit where credit is due. I think seeing a trans woman as a successful content creator did push me further and further towards coming out originally. But it was people like ContraPoints and people like Samantha Lux that gave me the edge. And honestly, Steph Sanyati was a big catalyst in me sort of coming to terms with not only my trans identity, but my greater understanding of trans issues. Anyway, Brisbane High School introduces badges in strong step towards gender inclusion. She, her, he, him, they, them. Little Pride Pin Shop. Might have to look that up. Brisbane High School is trialling the use of pronoun badges among students to help others understand how they identify. Redcliffe State High School's LGBTIQ group introduced the trial last week to a positive reception. That's good. The badges list of persons preferred pronouns, including they, them, she, her, and he, him. This week, the blah, blah, pronoun badges are as simple as they sound. They're badges with different pronouns on. However, their purpose is to display to everyone what those pronouns who are wearing them might define themselves as. They're also so that people know what to refer to the wearer as. Below are the badges we are starting with. She, they, and he, they are on the order. Queensland Teachers Union President Cresta Richardson said the initiative will help many students feel included and safe, which is all, like, really, like, that's the crux of it. That's all the fuck we want. That's it. That feeling included and safe. Very, very basic bitch bullshit right here. The initiative will help many students feel included and safe. And yet, there are still so many people who want to specifically go out of their way to target specifically transgender teens. This is really disturbing. Teenagers who, again, are going through puberty, which has significant effects on a person's body and their mind. You know, and a lot of teenagers deal with mental health issues. We were talking mental health tonight. Teenagers have a tendency to, you know, how often have you heard the story of a drama at a high school because a teenager ended their own life because of social ostracization or things like that? Because they didn't feel included, they didn't feel safe. And in the case of trans teens, in the case of gender non-conforming teenagers, you know, this is a huge step. This is a good, positive thing. And like, this is what we want. We want to keep trans kids alive so that they can become trans adults. It's only really early days in the trial, but if we can look for ways to kids to have a good, positive day at school, that's a great thing, she told Bill McDonald. Diversity is really important in our whole community. If we've got students choosing to be kind and respectful to each other and teachers supporting them in that, then surely those are the values we want to have in our community. Good fucking shit, dude. Yes. Abso-fucking-lutely, yes. Giant Italian sausage. I'm just gonna be looking at, like, look at this monster right here. Look at this fucking monster. Look at this behemoth. Look at this behemoth. Jesus fucking Christ. How? What in the large sausage? Very large sausage. School also allows a nickname on the roll so people put their preferred name as their nickname. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I actually called my daughter's school today and I stopped cutting my schlong. No comment. I actually called my daughter's school today regarding an issue with her recently. I had to update my details with them because they didn't have them. And I actually ended the conversation with, oh, by the way, I go by Abigail these days. And they were very, very kind and understanding. It was really nice. It was just like, I have 2 kids. It was really like, the fact that she's just like, oh, okay, I'll just put that down there for you. I'll just put that in your file. It was like, very matter of fact, very polite about it. No weirdness. That's such a good feeling, dude, honestly. And that's been, I have to be so grateful and so thankful for the fact that any time the situation has come up, it's like, basically, by the way, I'm trans, I'm a girl, everyone has been so warm and accepting. When I got my ears pierced, there was an option on the form for a preferred name, and I put Abby. And without even skipping a beat, the piercer lady, who was an older woman, who was, I would say, estimate at least 60, 65, she was on in age, covered in tattoos and piercings. This chick was badass. This was a badass older woman. Without it, like, I didn't even mention it to her. I just put Abby in the preferred name field. And as we were going through our appointment, and she was speaking to the other piercer who was like the supervisor, because this lady was like learning.
Under the table action never
oh
went
my goodness,
astray.
yeah, thank you for that under the table
Abigail.
action there. Thank you so kindly. And hello, Katrina, how's it going? It is really good when that happens. The supervised lady came in, referred to me as he for a moment, and the piercer that was piercing my ears corrected us like, oh no, it's she. It's Abby. And it was like, that was the first instance of it. What else was there? There's been more. There's been more cases like that. There was the school thing today. There was, I changed my name at the place I usually get my laser done. I'm gonna change it at the gym. There's a girl that I see around, in public quite often. And today was the second day she's seen me out in public in very, very feminine clothing. And she works at the gym where I go. She works at the front desk. So I'm kind of waiting until I see her working, and I'm going to approach her and I'm just going to be like, listen, you already know. You know, I go to the gym in pretty gender neutral clothes, I guess. Just like shorts and tanks. And I wear a sports bra underneath. So I don't go like heavily on the girly gym wear or anything like that. But I'm just going to wait till she's working the desk, and then I'm going to go up to her and I'm just going to be like, you know how my file says M and the name is that? Can we change it, please? Because she's already complimented me once on my outfit. Yeah, I stopped in the gym one day and she was like, oh, I saw your outfit the other day. It was really cute, and it was, yeah, good vibes. Good vibes, mate. Thinking about it earlier and realized if you're like a 25-year-old bloke and have full sleeves of tattoos, I'm going to think that you make a hobby out of drinking matcha. If you're in your late 60s and 70s and you're covered, I ain't messing around with you. She had a lot of, the old lady had a lot of pop culture tattoos, I noticed. We're just getting into like cozy trans vibes now. We're just getting cozy trans vibes. Statistical analysis of the queers. Still sister. Are we shitting on matcha? Are we shitting on matcha? Oh, I don't know. I haven't tried matcha tea. I don't know what matcha's like. I think I might have tried matcha ice cream. Once. You know what I like? You know what I quite enjoy? That I haven't had in a while? Deep fried ice cream. Ever been to teppanyaki? I haven't been to teppanyaki in a while. They do deep fried ice cream there. It's the hit. Great. It's good. Big and cozy, your niece ended a phone call last week with "You're my favorite uncle." Aww. We stand. The only thing that I've got to struggle with at the moment, the major transy thing that I've got to struggle with at the moment, personally, is my mother misgendering me sometimes. She still refers to me as he and him sometimes. I'm done up like this. I never had deep fried ice cream. Your arteries should still work. Fingers crossed. I don't see why they wouldn't, but you never know. Playing off hipster stereotypes. Know what you want now? This Adzuki bean ice cream stuff from this international store you haven't been to in ages. You know what that kind of vaguely reminds me of? One time I went to an ice cream shop in a place that's like a good 50-minute drive away from where I live. But this ice cream shop had a very unique assortment of ice creams in it. Specifically, they had a black licorice ice cream. And I bought a tub of that shit. You know I bought a tub of that shit. Yeah, black licorice. Sue me. Gelatissimo. Yeah, it might have been... Actually, yeah, it might have been gelato. There is another gelato shop not far from me, and I could try them. But yeah, I like black licorice. Eat my asshole if you dislike it. My mother can't even gender her cats properly. Never introduced her to either of your trans partners for that reason. Well, yeah. That would kind of be the problem, wouldn't it? Here's the Little Pride Pin Shop. The Facebook page, if you guys want to click on that. I'm not going to show it on stream because Facebook. I don't want to risk any of my personal details being out there in the wild. But they've got some neat ones. They got some really cool ones. They've got the Quasar flag. I really like the way the Quasar flag looks. You come into black licorice. Yes, I love black licorice. I live for it. I want to try some really dark black licorice. How you doing, Goat, by the way? What's going on? Aniseed flavored anything. Listen, you little cunts. Listen here. I will not hear this disparagement of one of the best flavors that the human tongue can experience. I need to get some more licorice, actually. I haven't had some in a while. I've mostly been buying dark chocolate. Here's their site. There we go. Oh, my stomach is being weird. Here we go. Gotta try proper Finnish licorice. I'll see if I can. Check this out. Little Pride Pin Shop. Check these bad bitches out. Intersex, aromantic, asexual. They got a little patch. They got a patch. They got a bisexual patch. You get a bisexual flag. You get a transgender ring from the Etsy store if you type !ring in chat. Or the store that gave me sold me my trans pride ring. We like any queer stuff. I need to get some queer pins. I need to get a trans pin.
Thank you for your membership.
Yarrow, thank
Please
you for the sub.
Enjoy all the delights of the subscriber lounge.
Enjoy the subscriber lounge. Yarrow, thank you so kindly. You've been such an ardent supporter of this stream. It's kind of crazy to me. It's kind of wild to me. Thank you so much. Oh, you are an absolute legend. You are currently at 69 gifted subs. I wouldn't be surprised if you stopped there, honestly. That's just such a good number. You don't want to top that, you know? And anise is good when making dark beer. The hint of licorice flavor makes the entire profile richer. I'm going to have to try that at some point. I feel like that may coerce me into drinking some beer. I don't generally like beer, though. I'm more of a Moscato girl. Oh, excuse me. Dutch licorice is apparently the good. Over 70 Big Macs in this mac and cheese. Big mac and cheese. What the... What are we looking at here? Goodness, what is this? 41,280 calories. Why? 63,800. What is this? Why? Don't get me wrong, I like cheese, I like bacon, I like Big Macs. I don't know what we're looking at. It is the most American thing I've ever seen. I hate this person. That ain't cheese, no, it's a liquid cheese knockoff. Absinthe is best mixed with Spanish cava, which makes a drink called Death in June. It's tubby custard. I've heard of Epic Mealtime. I've never actually watched any of their content. I imagine it's all generally stuff like that, though, I would dare say. We're sort of just chilling out at the... that was Epic Mealtime, yeah. We're sort of just chilling out now. We're just unwinding. We're not doing a whole lot. We're not having a whole discourse right now. But, you know what, speaking of discourse, I hope tonight's mental health chats were okay. We do need to do some more on that. There's a lot in there. There's a lot to unpack. We didn't even really get heavily into the anxiety thing. We only just briefly touched on it. But we did have a very good chat about impostor syndrome, I feel. Honestly, Laura, kind of weird that those extreme food shows have such an overlap with hypermasculinity that you'll notice there's a lot of shows like that. There's a lot of areas of particularly masculine things that bleed into various forms of media. Honestly, I get the suspicion that, like, the you know what strikes me as a particularly weirdly hyper-masculinized show format is those ones where they go to storage lockers and bid on storage lockers. Even though there are women on those shows, the format is very particularly masculine, very male. It's weird. I don't know what it is. Outrage culture and debate bro shit in particular? Yeah, absolutely. Storage wars, yeah. And, honestly, the entire bodybuilding industry, I mean, obviously, the entire bodybuilding industry is, quite frankly, it's less the masculinity of the bodybuilding industry, and I just get this really weird vibe about the bodybuilding side of things, and I want to delve back into this. I want to dip my toes back into the bodybuilding scene, because there are a lot of seemingly alt-right mindsets among the bodybuilding scene. You want a show that's about grilling that's not as hyper-masculine? Guga Foods. There we go. Jaffa cake. Jaffa cake recipe. Have a look. What does this Jaffa cake look like? That's the Jaffa cake. Oh, I'm in the way. There's the Jaffa cake. Yeah, just like shovel that in there. Oh, have I tried Jaffa cakes? Maybe I have. I can't recall. There you go. Another good YouTube channel is CS Cooks. Why does he look like he's about to cry and puke? Yeah, bodybuilding is about aggression and power. It gets super toxic super fast, yeah. And not to mention, you know, in the bodybuilding scene, all of these people who, again, they're definitely those might makes right types. Yarrow!
Back, supporter of the cause.
You had to break your 69. Yarrow, thank you so kindly for gifting a sub to Sammy, Sabercat, Forget Mike, Witch Cass, and Archelon.
You are now one of us.
Let's chill out in the sub lounge for a little bit as we wrap things down or wind things down a bit. We're now beyond. Well, hang on, we'll see. Where's that going to put us?
You are now one of us.
172. And Mike are just following now. I could have sworn I've seen you around before. Anyway, why didn't you follow earlier? Doesn't matter, you followed now.
Welcome back, supporter of the cause.
Welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. I think we're at the tail end of things now.
Welcome back, supporter of the cause.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna stop until my whole follower list is subbed. Dude, can you imagine if I were to have 3,000 subs?
Welcome to the Rogue Room.
3,200 subs, like that'd be ridiculous. Common Enemy 909, welcome to the Rogue Room. Sit down, grab a drink, and chill out with us. Can you possibly conceive? I can't even conceive of that. I can't even fathom that, honestly. The idea of having that many subscribers. It would be ludicrous. And like, I look at someone like Pixel Smixel, who has routinely had about 2,000 or so whenever I've seen her streaming. Can't imagine having 3,000 DOMs either. Yeah, I'm not suggesting get me to 3,000 subs. Also, my sub goal isn't updating with my stream labels. Thank you, stream labels. What about 3,000 switches? I mean, there are definitely people out there who have 3,000 switches, and they are scalpers, and they are evil people, and they should be thrown in the bin, quite frankly. We don't stand people who scalp. Fucking scalpers. Anyway, tomorrow's going to be an interesting one, folks. Yarrow, thank you for wrapping the stream up for us with a big sub bomb there, which, again, this isn't uploading. Updating, sorry. Let's get this out of the way now. I'm gonna fix my my socials commands so that this is a little bit less messy. If you're not already following the YouTube channels, 2 of them, the Instagram, just one of those. My Twitter, just one of those as well. And if you're not already in the Discord, please jump into all of those and chill out with us offline, hang out with us, like my tweets and stuff. And you know what? I hope she's not ending soon. It does. Well, she's been going for 3 hours. Let's go raid Mrs. L. Because I would like to raid my friends. Mrs. L, who will sadly not be joining us for tomorrow's cocktail stream, which will be featuring Calgar, for the record. Calgar will be here. My friend Jeffrey, Jacinta, my sister will be here. A bunch of people will be here. We drink. We're going to be drinking. Tomorrow's going to be a drinking stream. We might go live earlier than 9 p.m. because we're going to be having people over at about... Calgar's going to be getting here around 3. And then I think we're going to be doing a bit of shopping beforehand. And then we might go live anywhere between like 6 and 7 p.m. my time, I think. And who knows how late we'll be streaming for. So I'm going to set up my laptop in the kitchen to stream off that. Fingers crossed it works. If not, we'll have to figure out something else. But rest assured, we will sort it out. We will have stream going tomorrow. And we're going to do drink mixing. Calgar's going to do drink mixing. And we might do some board games. We might do some discourse of various types. I'm going to annoy people. Yes, you are late, Lemon. Sorry. We're going to raid Mrs. L. Might have a movie night, so you might be late. That's all good. I'm sure we'll have a gay old time. Even though there are, as far as I know, some straights in there as well. But, eh. Have a good one, folks. Say hi to Mrs. L for me, and I'll see you when I'm looking at you.